Markets a little change here to start things off on a Friday morning, key morning coming up. Lots of economic data to get to this morning. We'll get both a read on quarterly GDP, an advanced look coming up at 8:30. PCE, 2 times the quarterly number and the main headline number that we'll bring to you as well live at 8:30 coming up. That's going to be closely watched by mostly the Fed. Market probably won't even react to it, as it typically does not unless it comes in way outside what is expected. We could also hear from the Supreme Court today on tariffs once again. This will be, what, the third attempt at a possible resolution to this. So the last two have been around 10 o'clock in the morning, so we're anticipating maybe the same thing could happen again this morning. So if that does happen, expect some fireworks definitely in the market, depending on which way that comes out. But hopefully we'll get more details on that coming up before 10 o'clock this morning. Meanwhile, lots of individual movers this morning. I was just reading the story on Meta cutting employee comp, stock-based comp packages by 5%. I guess they're looking for even more dollars and cents to throw at the AI spend because they got to keep up. So, I mean they got to pull it from somewhere, it looks like.
Does this feel like it's out of left field? Like they're throwing money around, Alexander Wang, everybody else stealing people from Apple, stealing people from Google, and they're going to nickel and dime on this. But yeah, that is, hey, you got to shore up costs somehow. Good morning, guys. There's a lot to talk about. Open door. Where is the open army at? We are up 18% here after a good earnings report yesterday. We'll talk about that. There's also worries in private credit. Blue Owl Capital, Brendo, I don't know if you read that story, down 1.5. And then Grail. Goodness gracious, not a company that we talk about often, but we have to when you lose half of your value. I don't mean to laugh.
Ouch.
But in in one fell swoop like that. And then also more information on the NVIDIA and possible investment in OpenAI to the tune of $30 billion.
I mean, Jensen said it's coming. It could come. Yeah. So here's some more information. Everybody needs to maybe slow down on that. Also, $60,000 Tesla Cybertruck that Sharif's very disappointed that it's not available
in Canada
on the Canadian website yet. But that's a bit of a haircut from where it once was.
Can I say to you, when I saw the tweet or whatever, the X by one of his followers, Elon's followers. Yeah. I'm like, okay, fantastic. It's probably going to be bare bones, kind of like the Model Y and the Model 3 that we saw him come out with, the cheaper versions. Not really, Brendo. Yeah. It's pretty much loaded, 400 kilometer-ish worth of range, a little bit more, and it's got all the bells and whistles. A couple of things sure got caught out, but not needle moving for me.
The other thing is the Cyberbeast going down to $99,000 as well, which again is a huge haircut from where they once were. So,
by the way, I went on Tesla's website, like I was telling you, to look at that. Cyberbeast, still 170,000 Canadian, kind of light.
Ho hum. So we'll keep an eye on Tesla. I mean, Tesla's not really doing much on that this morning, as it shouldn't, but basically flat, exactly flat, in fact, right now from where we were yesterday. Nice strong start to the day yesterday. Yeah, that Blue Owl story, kind of interesting. We'll get into it a little bit more coming up, but this has been lingering for a couple of months in the background, and a few people were kind of saying, it's not looking great, but it looks like it's getting worse.
Forget the name of the institution that pulled out of one of the Meta deals for that huge data center they're building there, but it's more worries about private credit, private equity, in the background, perhaps a little bit over-leveraged. This is, like you were saying, I think we got a scare similar to this a couple of months ago.
Yeah, it was, I want to say even in the fall, they were talking about this coming out of the summer and into the fall. But yeah, with the amount of spending that's going on, this is part of the outcome or potential outcome. But let's just run through this real quick because there's lots to know coming up at 8:30 this morning. Core PCE coming, GDP again. The GDP print is an advanced print, but remember what happened the last time we got an advanced print on a GDP? It was way higher than anyone expected, and the market loved that. So we'll keep an eye on that. Again, the expectation, 3.5% is the forecast. Prior was 4.4%. So that's 8:30. And then the headline number for PCE going to be the key and main driver here on the inflation side of things, both for the Fed and potentially the market as well. I mean, PC doesn't typically move the market unless it's huge one way or the other, but we'll see what happens.
I got to tell you, I'm looking more for that GDP number, right? I want to see if the economy is continuing to grow. We've had blowout numbers well ahead of expectations several times in a row, and we really haven't seen the corresponding inflationary print on that. So I want to see if that continues. I just want to mention one thing before we send it to the boys, Brendo. Celsius up big here in the pre-market. It was up about 9%, still above 8%. They had some sort of conference yesterday, so another one to look at.
Yeah, definitely. We'll touch on that. Just hearing a couple of things, more overseas headlines coming through here, guys. But busy Friday again. Potentially some tariff news as well from the Supreme Court. Last couple of times it's been around 10 o'clock that we've heard one way or the other. So we'll keep an ear out for that. Happy Friday.
Oh, happy Friday, everybody. And you could also just jam out right now because Eric Jackson made a post. It's like a music video. It's got Drake. There's bottles and popping and all this kind of stuff. I mean, they're up. I gotta turn that off because I don't. It's actually not that good a song. I don't want them pumping in my head. It's up 18% open door, but they did have cautious revenue guidance, and it's still cut in half from the highs. So there's that as well, Eric. But certainly they're happy with the performance, up 18%. Gonna look pretty good so far. Yeah, like you guys, it'd be nice if the Cybertruck story was moving Tesla a little bit more. That'll be languishing. There's an NVIDIA story with OpenAI as well. And then keep in mind, we got this, it was yesterday, actually late after, well, call it late lunch, early afternoon, where the mere mention that Netflix has more cash and could raise their bid ended up tanking the stock. The market wasn't doing anything, and simply mentioning that they have the cash to raise their bid, not that they're going to, cause the reversal in Netflix. So that'll be on watch again today. Cause some moves in that at WBD, but yeah, the big story I think is going to be we get the PCE, we get the GDP read. And those numbers could actually move things a little bit at 8:30, so I don't want to get too married to directions until then. Also don't want to overreact to initial moves. But rounding out the week, for sure, at least everyone, if you were looking for the open long, hey, congratulations too. And Eric Jackson seems happy. And I don't know if Drake is actually invested in this thing, but he seemed happy in that video. But I guess if you're popping bottles, you're always
It's
happy.
probably an AI video.
Of course.
Yeah. So Drake, probably nothing to do with it. But shout out to Drake, will be dropping probably the biggest album.
Is he though?
Ice. It's called Iceman. He's the #1 selling hip hop and rap artist for the last 20 years. Despite 1 year, Post Malone got it 1 year there. I think it was 2020 or 2018. I saw some Instagram thing posted that up. Yesterday we nailed Palantir, right? Like that was a great short. We were short 136s, and then boom, where that went. Yesterday we shorted Walmart at 130, and that just continued to go down all day. Like these are the positions we had on yesterday. We only had 2 trades. It was Walmart and Palantir, and both were to the short side. And actually feeling short side again here today. So hopefully the market will give back a little bit. We do have that big PCE reading coming through, so that should be a lot of fun to see where the market reacts as we have a little bit of a difference in the expectation of that move, right? And so, as Brandon said, 4%. And we actually have the look right here on our economic release. It's expected 2.9 prior to 8. We had the GDP number is supposed to be, that should be wild, minus 2.8 versus 4.4. So I think Deere is off today, actually. I don't see her around.
That's a typo. It should be positive.
Oh, positive 2.8.
Yeah, it's not going to be. It's not going to be a decline.
I was going to say I don't think that was minus 2.8 there. That's what's in our note, but that's not going to be right. And then we had Nvidia today as well. We were looking at Nvidia short yesterday a little bit, but we hesitant to go short on Nvidia. So now again stuck right in the middle. Not much going on. The Tesla story is interesting. So we'll see if there's some sort of a movement there on TSLA stock, and there doesn't really seem to be yet. I mean, we had that $400 bottom that we talked about the last couple of days. We didn't get there yesterday, so we'll see if we can do that today. But I don't know. The market just pretty flat, man. It's going to be an interesting Friday. We didn't end necessarily on the highs or the lows yesterday, so we're just going to wait to see where this market opens up. Banks still relatively strong, although we had that blue owl talk, right? So we see some private equity firms taking a little bit of a hit. Yeah, BlackRock, maybe a little worse than JP Morgan, but here's this owl. It's not moving around that much. I think it was down 2% or something.
Look at the daily chart.
Yeah, I know. Look at the daily chart of many stocks, of course.
As they flat bottom break.
As that goes right there to the downside. And Yeah, we'll have to wait to see where this one goes. But Blue Owl there, another thing. So yeah, quantum space, SMRs going around yesterday with some of those nuclear names. I heard Oklo projected a nice higher demand spot yesterday for uranium. And, again, like all these names are right at such nice levels that potentially you're looking to pick something up on the cheap side. I don't know what silver was another name yesterday that we had on our watch. I think we were initially going to go short 71 and either was in and out of this real quick or didn't take it at all, as my chart's not loading. But you could see silver today trying to get back over that 50-period moving average and make its way a little higher. What an epic move down. That was one of my favorite days, that silver day, from 90 to 70. But yeah, right now not loading on my daily chart, but on my minute chart. But it's silver should be a good one, up 2%, and gold also up today. So yeah, big economic numbers should be a lot of fun here today. And then open door, as you mentioned, a lot of traders probably going to be looking at that.
Well, also the other thing to consider with the metals is, they haven't been the whole like flight to safety thing because of the volatility, but with the tensions in Iran, like people are saying there's going to be there's going to be military action. It's imminent at this point. Is what the talk would be. You might see some strength in the metals. You're certainly going to see some movement in the oil markets as well. Because before we get back to this, remember yesterday the other thing too was we had oil and energy names have been strong regardless, but Oxy had a big day, breaking 50 to get to 52. It's in the midst of a little bit of a breakout on the daily, so it's got some potential continuation, whether it's like a pullback to prior high or just like a straight breakout. Energy names in play. Oxy, of course, after earnings is going to be another one as well. And unfortunately, I hate to say it, but another day, and we're still languishing. Like Bitcoin's still sort of chilling out in the same bottom end of the range it has been. I can get rid of these trend lines, don't need them from yesterday's trade. The good news is you haven't really lost 66,000. And the bad news is there's been very, very muted bounces. So the weak resistance at 38.8, that's still very much in play today. It's just every single time it kind of pops in that range. You didn't get there yesterday, but the 2 days before that 38.8 on IBIT, certainly in play for a short. That 68,000 been a bit of a problem as the markets have been a little bit ho-hum in terms of the amount of volatility we'll get. We'll see if that does change, but the longer you consolidate in any kind of a trend, you usually look for a bit of a breakaway. Unfortunately for Bitcoin, it's consolidating in a downtrend, not consolidating in an uptrend, which is what we usually like to see. Some small cappers are going to be in play, but Sharif, the ones I looked at, they're literally like crazy to the downside. Like the small, like most of the big crazy movers. I saw there was Grail was moving, and then I wanted to take a look at one from yesterday. I don't know if you were watching Rhyme yesterday there, Sharif. I'm going to imagine you were, but it's 3 days in a row. It's rejected the exact same area without really falling through the gap. So it's kind of side on the radar. If it ever breaks above this 340, 350, like could it do a part two? But if it loses 225, I know you were short one of these yesterday. Would you short a small capper again today, Sharif?
Neil, I am trying my very best. I had to bother you for the shorts, obviously, and I do appreciate that. Yeah, guys, we went short yesterday on BATL, and so that one ended up breaking the volume-weighted average price. As soon as it did that, I looked over to Neil. I said, Neil, can I get shorts? Waited for it to come back, retest the volume-weighted average price, ended up rejecting it, kind of like a Luis Barbados setup 101. So we'll keep an eye out on that. But yeah, this is the chart on Rhyme, guys. It was a big move up on the 13th. We talked about this, tried to break through on the 17th. It couldn't, and it's been consolidated for a couple of days. But the one I'm keeping my eye on, Brendo, this morning anyway, is a multi-day runner, CDIO. It really kind of got the wings under its, the wind under its wings on the 18th. A bit of a consolidative day yesterday, but look at it taking out the 18th high, testing that 3 1/4. So as long as this one's trading above the volume-weighted average price by midday, going to be all over it.
Never a dull moment. A couple other things to consider here this morning. Long end of the curve back downside once again this morning as far as, this inflation narrative and the overall macro narrative ahead of this 8:30 print this morning. That's the 10-year right now. That's a daily chart of the 10-year right now, trending sharply. Still to the downside. 30-year looks the same. On the other hand, that is the dollar index. Absolutely monstrous week. I was just reading biggest up week for the dollar since October
Really?
Going into the fall of last year. And this all follows what happened with the Fed in a bit of a, I mean, people are calling it a hawkish pivot, but is it? I mean, they've been saying this for months and months and months. It feels like, depending on more data and looking for more data and making sure they're in the right direction.
It was interesting to look at the trade deficit yesterday as well, right? Because that was also a corollary effect of the dollar, right? And then this is why President Trump's hasn't been as opposed to a weak U.S. dollar as some had hoped, for the exact purpose of having, more attractive exports. If your currency is stronger against the U.S. dollar, that makes it cheaper for you to buy American products and import it into your own country. And that's why he hasn't really been, all that opposed to it. So, I think it's still trading within a range, to be quite honest with you, coming off some area lows.
A bit of a wait and see. Well, again, this stuff coming at 8:30 may or may not do anything to this, but we'll keep all of that in mind. What this has done, however, is helped both the gold trade this week, specifically this week, and the silver move back to the upside ever so slightly. That's 3 days in a row on the green side of things. I mean, still kind of chopping around in this range after the big move down, consolidating. That's gold. SLV looking very similar. 3 days in a row here, though. Gapping higher, guys, for silver again.
Yeah, well, it was a little consolidative yesterday on silver, but it was at the highs, which is, well, local highs, I should say, which is still going to be a good thing. Like, ultimately, very much sideways. The 71 was still a bit of a problem on SLV, of course, but with this move up, you now have something a little bit different going on. Like, it was a nasty plunge on the 12th, but if I can do this, because when you have there we go. That's what I want to see. Put it into perspective, the lack of volatility. But if I can do this, you can see what's been going on right just underneath 72. So when it was underneath here, you've got fail, hold support. There was a flush through tepid day, but then the next day, hold resistance, and then gap above. Actually and now that I've done that, I'm just gonna put the number 72 on my iPad, because I realized I did not do that this morning, because I think that gives you a pretty clear key support resistance level here for SLV. If it can hold 72, then I'll zoom it back in. You've got some room to try to fill in a little bit of this gap on the flush day back into like 74, half 75. Keeping in mind yesterday was a consolidative day. Even if it bounces, maybe you only get a smaller move. That's been part and parcel how silver's been trading recently. The other factor that we've got going on here is the 50 SMA on the daily. That's been another point of resistance and another reason to look for, like, the dip buy into 72 makes more sense because we've been rejecting and we're right at that 50 SMA. So that would give you 72 to 73. If you break away from that, there's room to 75. And of course, like everything else, A, we get numbers in 12 minutes, and then B, any headlines coming out of the Middle East are potentially going to move the gold, energy markets. So you do want to keep your ear to the ground. We always say trade with stops anyways, but you are going to want to be aware of any headlines that come through. You're in the right spot because we'll get them all to you. Now we got our earpieces in. Adara or no Adara, we'll still be able to catch that news when it does happen. If.
Number one trade will be silver today for me. If it gets down to 71.50, I mean, if we can get anywhere near some of these levels for me on silver, I mean, I like what Brendan was saying there, a nice 3-day move to the upside there on SLV. So we'll go 1, 2, 3, gap a little bit higher today, up 2.73%. The market is in sleepy time mode. So for me, it's just wait around, see if there's anything that happens. Obviously, we have 12 minutes until PCE and GDP numbers, which should affect it. But this is 71.50 right there. So I'm not going to try to play fun with it or anything like that. If it comes back into this level, we'll be sitting there with a bunch of shares and taking that trade. So 71.50 on silver. And then if it breaks back down below 71, we have the 50-period moving average right there. We can get out. So that's what we'll wind up doing here today on SLV. And I said, you know what? Watch out for GLD, what that's doing. We sort of talked a little bit about that earlier when it came over to me. It was not moving as much as silver, but I'd like to see both of them if I'm going to go long, both being in the right direction. And then I have been highlighting this with Brendan just did there for a while here on the show and showing you guys, exactly the strength that's been present in the U.S. dollar. And I didn't realize what he was mentioning there. This one of the strongest weeks or one of the strongest months there. As we come back, this is February, right down into here, right where we started, and it's a nice little move up. Although we had a nice low, I guess it's probably been a nice 2 weeks there for dollar strength, 96.60 up to 98 basically, and we just failed off of a February high. So we'll see if we can break through on that one as well. It doesn't seem to be really affecting the market. I mean, the market's kind of going sideways right now, but it should be good. I always thought a stronger U.S. dollar makes silver go southbound, but all those relationships are a little switched over now because much of silver buying is by foreign buyers, and they got to exchange their, because silver's in U.S. prices, so you got to switch over your currency if you're Chinese or European, euros, whatever you're trading with, the British pounds, anything, you got to switch it over into U.S. dollars in order to buy silver. So makes silver price a little less intriguing, therefore pushing prices down. But if the demand is still there, then it works the other way as well, because the more expensive the U.S. dollar gets, the more expensive silver naturally gets as well. So, so that's going to be the number. That's the only thing really I'm looking at right now. I don't really have anything else on my mind. I don't want to put anything down for the TQs or the market yet, just because we're waiting for those numbers. And if they come out dramatically different, then it will definitely change some of the levels that we're looking for here on the Nasdaq. But just the Nasdaq in general, if we're going to look at the triple Qs, I know there's a lot of you traders that are looking over at this. You're still very, very much range bound. I would think that we short anything up here into 610 unless this number is absolutely unbelievable, because there's not a big, huge, broader market. Like I said, unless this goes, I don't really see anything that tries to get this market going. We have problems in Iran. I just told you, we have stronger US dollar, stronger silver, many different things happening that I think could weigh down the market. Although we're almost through earnings season, tech wasn't that impressive and continuously going lower even today, some of these names. We don't have the big leaders from NVIDIA. We lost Apple, we lost Microsoft. So for me, I'm looking for a short, and I don't think we get up that far, but that would be a level for me, 608 to 610-ish area for a short. But and for a long, I'm not really looking down there. I still think there's a little bit more to go on the downside. Let's go find out from Joe if there's any options sort of giving us a little bit of an idea of trend today.
Yeah, speaking of some of the big boys here, Sean, let's take a look at some of the notable activity from the past couple of sessions. Once again, we're going to see some volume step in right out of the open as it's option expiration week. So let's keep an eye on some of these strike prices. Most notable here on Amazon is going to be that $210 mark, guys. You can see the volume and open interest sitting around 38,200, and then on the volume side, we're around 31,100 there, guys. So a lot going on. But in obviously the call activity here with Amazon, and we're going to get into another name here momentarily that I found substantial. They are the mega caps, but you can see that the bid and the ask, considering it's expiring today at $210, we're not quite there yet in Amazon. We're trading roughly around, let's pull it up here. I think we're a couple points away from that at this point. But at the end of the day, 206 right now. It's not bad whatsoever. You got to understand that closer to the end of the day, you obviously will lose all the value within these contracts. But if there's any form of a pop, it's not bad value there whatsoever. But let's take a look at some of our metrics. We're sitting on the delta here. As for our Greek, just a little bit under 10, and then our gamma exposure 0.04 here. And then the at-the-money IV sitting around 35.6%. I think that's relatively cool. And this contract value, I was talking to Jose last night, and I'm like, man, oh man, it's once again. So I have this database, I shouldn't say a data, but I have a bunch of data collected essentially from these contracts. When I'm writing here and I'm displaying them to you guys, is that how much they drastically lose their value over time. So this contract was worth $4,600 or $4,000, I should say, a couple of months ago in January, I should say. And then now it's worth $17. All right, so you got to take that into consideration. Obviously, the underlying has been selling off, and you're not seeing any form of a rebound. But considering it expires today, there's zero chance that it ever gets back to those levels. All right, moving forward, let's take a look at TSLA. Had a strong drive yesterday, guys. We're going to take a look at that 420 strike price, the ever so popular number there. Open interest sitting around 12,000, and the volume substantial with 48,900 contracts open and closed on yesterday's session. And the exact same narrative. This thing was worth 10 grand a couple of months ago, now worth $100. All right, so the options writers are having a heyday right now. We're just writing these calls left, right, and center. Your delta, you're sitting around that $20 metric, and then your gamma exposure is relatively cool. And for Tesla, 45.1% for your Vega. Not bad whatsoever. And I think Brent was mentioning this before, and I've been saying this for quite some time. When you have these periods of heightened volatility, typically what does that mean? There's fear within the market, but when things start to cool down, like trading, nothing works all the time. But when you have cool at-the-money IV and cool volatility, that could be somewhat of a bullish sign, guys. We'll be back momentarily with some upgrades and downgrades.
Very much, Joe, and some big cap names on that options list for him was the big cap name that might be one to look at today that didn't mention Alphabet. I know the market's relatively, flattish today, but Google's up a point. It's more important, I think. Look at what's done the last week and a half. But this bounce off of 300 is starting to look a little bit good. Like 2 very consolidated days, almost like carbon copies one another. Liquidity grab under 300, and then 2 days in a row holding 3 bills. And then we get, it's not really a rounded bottom, but it's almost the same. It's the same principle underneath this 305. It was 300 to 305 2 days in a row. If you hold on to 305, this one has some room to get back to the upside. Today would be the day. If it closes above 305, then it confirms this little bit of a bounce. Obviously, you lose that 305, and then you could also have problems. Oh, we did have a super chat as well. If I can try to find it. Where is there we go. It was from Nick Dubs. Thank you. And it was about CRISPR. You say, do you see it breaking out? Thoughts on Moderna? And Moderna's been moving a lot the last couple of days. One of the things about Moderna, we'll get to CRISPR in a second, but one of the things about Moderna, it's like, use the technology for other things. It's just all the news and all the hype and everything surrounding is still some of these vaccines, but there's so much more that could be done with that technology, with even regards to cancer, et cetera. So I'm not sure what the next headline is going to be for Moderna. We can get there in a second, but CRISPR. Look, I tend to agree. I like the 50 and the 200 period on the daily. Today would be the day that you can confirm closing back above. So this is the consolidation break you're talking about. The last time it tried to break out from here, the problem was $60 on CRISPR. Since you go back to beginning of December, and there's been a seller at $60 every time it's gotten there. So even if we get that breakout, like that first 10%, I feel like you can make that move, but then you run into that seller until it can bust through. You have to temper some expectations because for whatever reason, someone's just been selling it off in that range. And then with regards to Moderna, yeah, I think not everyone, but a lot of people are looking for the big time continuation here. Has it put in a distinct bottom? I mean, you have to say yes because it more than doubled from the low. It's got another huge bounce. I just wonder, like, what's getting it back over this 50 to 52 hump? So good technical bounce off the 50 period. Yesterday was an absolute rocket ship day for Moderna, and it's got 1, 2, 3. There's a consolidated day in there, but you still have that kind of like 3-up pattern move where a lot of traders look to fade that. I saw the way that it faded this 50 fail last time. It really needs to close and hold above that $50 on Moderna. So it's been a strong run into it, but we're back underneath now down a point. And it's the kind of setup that if it can't bust back through 50, you could see some serious profit taking. Remember how far this stock has gone realistically. So yeah, it should be in play. Just based on the move that it had yesterday, I think it's in play for a lot of people. But the fact that it's possibly failing that 50 again could give some trouble, at least for today.
All right, minute and a half left until the numbers. Let's go back over the desk and see what the boys are ready to do because it's going to be a big one, market moving in just a couple 90 seconds.
I'll just keep my eye on Bitcoin here as well, trending back to the downside ahead of this number. Not that it should influence it, but we are right at the lows essentially from the past couple of days right now for BTC. Yeah, here we go. This is what we are expecting. Core PCE on the month-over-month number. Last time around, we got 0.2 to the upside. We are expecting the exact same. 3.5. This is going to be the interesting one. 3.5 on the quarterly advanced GDP print. Last time, if you remember, 3.5 is expected. Last time, if you remember, we got 4.4. And that was higher than expected in a significant manner. So that did help the market on that day. GDP price index overall 3.7 we are expecting, or that was the prior print. We are expecting 3.6 on that number. And then if you come all the way down here, core PCE prices on the quarterly side of things, 2.9%, 2.7 is the forecast. 2.9% was the prior number here, just real quick, as we said early, lots of people still coming in here. The GDP number going to be key.
Yeah, I think you're mentioning that the street's looking for 2.5%. President Trump tweeting not that, or whatever, truthing not that long ago that, if it wasn't for the Democratic-led government shutdown, as he put it, would be about 2 points higher. So we'll have to wait and see, Brendan. We're getting very strong prints. Let's see if that continues.
Yeah, Canada PPI just coming through here, 5.4. versus 4.3 on the year-over-year number. There's the personal income number, 0.3% in line with expectations. Core PCE, 0.4%, so that's higher than expected. 0.2 was the last one. GDP growth rate, 1.4%, so significantly lower. 4.4% was the last number. Again, comes at 1.4%, 3.5% was the expectation on that. Down here, the PCE price index in line with expectations, month-over-month number, basically in line with expectations, slight uptick. Core PCE price index, 3% versus 2.8%. GDP sales, 1.2%. Look at that number, 4.1% was expected there, so that's a decent-sized miss. Again, GDP sales, that's a quarterly advance number. Remember, these are not final numbers on the GDP side of things. 1.2% is a definite miss. PCE prices, 2.9% versus 2.6%, so a slight uptick. Yeah, market downside here, guys, so far.
Yeah, I mean, that's not what you want to see out of the GDP number. As big as that 4.4 surprise was, you're going to get it that underneath 2 is not going to look good. Not a huge move, but you did drop just $1 and went into the red on the Nasdaq and the ES, both 0.2% into the downside here initially. Pretty much everything is working its way down. I didn't really see any too much strength. I mean, Bitcoin tagged a little bit down, Nvidia, which I'm watching, tagged a little bit down. So the initial reaction, not the best GDP number. It was such a big that over 4 was such a big surprise, but whether you had the consensus, I saw 2.8 and 3.3 as a different consensus. Still, that's a huge, huge miss, relatively speaking. So, unfortunately, it's been a red-ish market unless you're looking at specific places. I don't know too much that's going to change here. And then you look over and see, okay, well, what's going on in the metals in reaction to this, and not even getting a spike. So GLD's down a little bit on that. You're not really even catching a bid. Silver, slight move, so maybe a little bit stronger than the overall, but yeah, not looking good. Tesla just went red. It just lost 420. Nvidia's now in the red, almost a full point. Alphabet, which was the strong, it still is, up 0.8%, but also catching a little bit in the crosshairs, that GDP print.
Yeah, of course. Tesla, I think, losing 410, 420 would be.
Oh,
when you said that, I was like, oh my God, did it rip? No, so I've now completed the note. I told you before this number that I was looking short. I mean, we talked about the Nasdaq on that high side. We don't even get a high side print, so it doesn't matter. There's the short. I'm now very, very focused. Sticky note's about to be out. We're going to go short the Nasdaq, and that's that now. I mean, that GDP print's horrible. So now we just have to wait to see. I mean, they got a huge blowout number. The last print last month, and now this one is completely red and to the downside. So there it is, plus 1.4 versus 3. That's not going to do anything for this market upside. It should see lower U.S. Well, let me see what the U.S. I was going to say it should see a lower U.S. dollar, but let me see what exactly it's doing, because there were other numbers involved in the print as well, right? And so, yeah, okay. So sharp move down, retracement back up. So U.S. dollar basically flat, I would say, sort of on this kind of a move, and now starting to go. So there's the move down, heading into anticipation, comes out, strengthen upside there for U.S. dollars. So we'll see what this means, potentially hurting rate cut ideas, but I don't know. Maybe that could have been what's spiking this move in the U.S. dollar. But we'll just let it all settle down. We've seen this move happen many times before, where the complete retracement is on, which is why I'm looking to go short here. We've seen it come all the way back up, and then it comes into reality, and then it, hits a little lower. So for me, I'm going to be looking short here today for sure. And I know I wrote down Tesla. Well, I just wrote down Tesla. I only have 3 names on here: Silver, Tesla, Qs, on here today. Just be very focused, right? I mean, that's what's been working, not sort of spreading my risk around. That doesn't work for me. But yeah, coming into here, 408, 409. So if we can get some sort of dip buy opportunities into Tesla, we'll see if we can do that. But first focus is definitely on the market today, downside. It's been a pretty decent run, for the Nasdaq, just trying to hold the bids. It hasn't really gone anywhere, but we did have a nice little hold here, from this 595 back up into almost 610, and now you're losing it again. So I would say that we're probably due for like a 590 or so coming here on the Qs. I don't know, hopefully not today. That might be, that's not that dramatic, but if we can get back into this 595, 590 area, I think that's where we'll settle here today for the Nasdaq. So. We'll see. It has to hold right here, man. It's got to hold. We now broke in below 25,000, so it should be a fun one here. Looking at silver, Qs, and Tesla for myself. So, all right, 835. I don't know if anything's moving more dramatically or not, but those are a couple levels that we're looking at.
It's all the big names. Watch the VIX at 21 here. If we could, again, with the futures breaking down toward yesterday's lows, I think if you confluence that with a breakout here at 21 on the VIX, you could see a little bit of acceleration. But just watch out. There's only about a couple of points until you get up to a previous resistance. But volatility is going to creep up. And then, of course, we still have to keep our ears to the ground, because if we get more bad news coming out of the Middle East, that's not going to help anything either. We see that VIX spike, and then you get that same effect that we've been seeing recently, where it starts slowly down. But if we don't get a good bid midday or in the afternoon, the markets have been selling off almost every single afternoon, regardless of how we started. Let's see what happens if we actually start weak there. So keep an eye on that VIX at 21. I do see, Michael, it is Friday, right? So we're going to have the Naas boss coming through. I have to look through we have like a monitor over there. You guys can't see this, but there's like a gigantic ladder just sitting out in front. You can kind of see the ladder out there. So he's right in between, but I see he's locked and loaded and ready. Don't know what we'll be talking about today. So very curious to see what the Naas boss is about today.
Sharif and I were just, we'll get to Michael Naas here in a second. Sharif and I were just laughing because he told us again that this was coming. Just before 8:30, this number came out. Trump with a truth, I guess, essentially saying, as you mentioned, the Democrat government shutdown cost the economy at least 2 points on this GDP print. So he tried to tell you once again.
Yeah, well, he's always front-running it, Brendo. I mean, like, whether it's not the tariff tantrum lows telling you to buy, or whatever the situation is in the Oval Office pointing, as you were just mentioning to me, this guy just made $1 billion, this guy is up 500 million. Well, he does speak off the cuff. Yeah. But something tells me he probably had to look at those numbers, didn't like them, a little early, wanted to get ahead of it, but didn't want to disclose it fully, so kind of danced around it that way.
He tried to tell you.
Yeah.
All right, let's have a look at what has been a pretty quiet, we're chopping around. We've been talking about this back and forth action with the overall market if you go out to a daily chart since, Michael, it feels like, I don't know, months. It has been months, because we were talking about this going back to the end of last year, and here we are now on the verge of Q2 into this brand new year, and we're still stuck in this range. So you were mentioning the simple fact that not only are we stuck in this range still, but it's getting tighter and tighter and tighter and tighter. What does that mean?
Yeah, and finally, the indicators have caught up. We know indicators are a little lagging, so we can actually quantify now how tight this is and kind of how boring of a market this is. So if you guys are feeling it, by the end of this, I'll kind of explain to you exactly what's happening. And the first thing I think is to start with just a lesson on Bollinger Bands. I know everybody knows about them. I've studied them at some point, but generally used incorrectly, like a lot of indicators. The main reason behind the Bollinger Bands is to look at volatility. So you have a moving average, that kind of teal line in the middle, and that's just any moving average you pick, generally defaults to 20, and then you're looking at the standard deviation around that. So, if you remember high school math, great. If not, it's just how much does it wiggle? How much are we moving around that average? Are we sticking really, really close to it? Are we moving very, very far from it? And in periods of, very low volatility, generally speaking, we get periods of very high volatility after, and I'll show you that. So the next chart here is the S&P 500 on a weekly basis, and I drew these little purple lines to try to highlight where things got narrow, but it's really hard to see when you put them on the chart like this. So the indicator I'm going to bring to you guys is called the Bollinger Band width, and that's just the next chart here. And essentially the lower indicator is just saying how wide are the bands, right? So we know that if the market is not moving very much around its 20-period moving average, the bands are going to be very tight for a long time. And that would make this indicator very low. And then when volatility expands, it pops back up. And this is why I talk about all the time that price trends, we know this, asset prices trend over time, and volatility mean reverts. And you can see it pretty clearly in this chart where you have periods of very low volatility, like we're experiencing now. Generally, we wish we knew when and in what direction, but generally lead to periods of high volatility. And then periods of high volatility generally lead to periods of low volatility. Same as, I know Neil was looking at the VIX there before. Same thing, if you look at the chart of the VIX, you see huge spikes and then back down, and then huge spikes and back down. So if volatility is mean reverting, and we are this tight in volatility, that means at some point soon we're going to get an expansion, right? It's got to happen. I think it's going to probably happen into the summer when we know what midterms are going to look like and things like that. But I wanted to go back and I wanted to say, okay, let's just take a look at all of these other times that volatility has gotten this low, where the Bollinger Bands are only 6% apart, which is like nothing, right? You remember back in the tariff tantrums, like the market would move 6% a day. And now we're saying a 2 standard deviation move on the market, like an incredibly rare move, would be 6%. So I've just gone through the next chart here and I've just highlighted and I've zoomed in on these periods and I've put these vertical orange lines when we've gotten into this, sub 10 or 6% range. And you can see, we'll go through and we'll see what happens. Now, I said volatility is mean reverting, but asset prices generally trend. So this is a good example of that we got really, really tight. The market really didn't do much in this kind of 2019 area. And then we had this amazing, these are weekly candles. So this amazing low volatility kind of grind up. And then on the left-hand side chart, you see, or the right-hand side, you see COVID. So obviously couldn't predict that there, but that period of low volatility just turns into a period of high volatility at some point. The next one here is October 2021, and you can see this is very, very tight again. Again, that 6%-ish area on the Bollinger Bands. We get tight, we break out, we have a nice little move there, and then things kind of fall apart in 2022. And then the last one that's happened recently, there's not many of these because it's very rare that we get this consolidated. This was right before the tariff tantrum. You can see the candle right before the tariff tantrum happened. So it's obviously, if you could predict which way the volatility is going to expand, you could make a whole bunch of money, right? If I knew that for sure, I would certainly tell you guys, but we don't, right? You see some of them are higher, some of them are higher for a bit and then lower. The one thing that we know for sure is that this period of low volatility will end. And then what we have to do is we have to kind of be ready in both sides. If we're going to get a breakdown, got to be ready to maybe sell some things or take some shorts or, raise some cash to buy a dip. If it's going to break to the upside, we saw some amazing trends happen after this. If I had to take a bet, I'm always going to bet with the direction of the trend, which has been higher. And that when we break out of this volatility, it will be higher. But it'll be interesting to see how much further this can go. Now, I don't know, I added this last chart late. I don't know if you guys got that or not, the bar chart in there. Perfect. This is kind of interesting to show in context of this, where we're saying the market is doing nothing and the market has gone nowhere for many, many months. But this chart is essentially just a bar chart of the amount of stocks in the S&P 500 that are outperforming the S&P 500. And you can see, it fluctuates around 200, maybe down to 150. This is the highest on record ever for stocks breaking out of or outperforming the S&P 500. I think I read somewhere that 60% of stocks are up 6% this year and the market's essentially flat. So it's, I hate the term, it's kind of it's kind of weird, but it's a stock picker's market, right? And if you're in this environment in which the market is really chopping you up and you're having a real bad time, I think you just have to kind of expand your horizon. This kind of broad market rally, generally speaking, should be a good thing. But like with everything, we need the big boys to catch up, right? For the S&P 500 and the Qs to break out, being so tech heavy, we need to see our NVIDIAs and Apples and Teslas and these kind of thing moves. Otherwise, we're going to continue to be in this range for I don't know how long.
And it's fine to do less, right? I mean, expand your horizons, understand a little bit better on what's driving things right now. But I mean, it's always fine to do less as well. It just, it was a small sample size, obviously, those charts that we did look at. But just from my perspective, outside of a unknown, unexpected, crazy event happening, every single one of those seem to resolve to the upside, which if you take a step back and think of it, kind of makes sense. If the market's not going down and also not going up at the same time, meaning, there's a lot of indecision in the middle, it's almost easier to make the argument that the resolution, barring some sort of unforeseen circumstance, would be higher.
Yeah, and you could think of this like if you went to a monthly chart, you could just think of it like a bull flag, right? It's a long, boring bull flag, but we are all taught about those at the very beginning of trading. And if you think about what a bull flag is, it's a trend in one direction, and then a compression of volatility at the top, and then that trend continuing in that direction. So the longer we stay in this range, I really do believe it's just overall healthy. We're digesting gains, we're rotating into different names. I think that's all fine. But we just need, because the SPY and the Qs are so weighted to these large cap techs, they need to have another leg higher to break out. So the question is, do we get this broad market rally and then we see another rotational shift in which now it's time to sell, our industrials that have been doing so well and start to put a little bit of money back into NVIDIA and AMD and some of these large cap tech names. But right, we got to be ready for both directions. And I like what you said about doing less, because this would be a nice period of time where maybe you mark the highs, you mark the lows, and you set an alert, and you just don't do anything until one of those things break, and just do a very simple trend following.
Exactly.
strategy.
And if you want to actually, do some meaningful, digging, I think it's always good to zoom out a little bit. And it's been a while since we've had a look at what's happening everywhere else in the world. We've had many conversations on the show about the global aspect and how it's been outperforming once again versus what we're seeing on some of these markets. So, there's always something moving somewhere. It's just a matter of finding where you want to be.
Yeah, and I can bring those Monday. The outperformance of the rest of the world has still been crazy, so it might be time to update those charts. It's, again, we got to just remember what the S&P 500 is. It's not a stock market, it's a market of stocks, and the S&P 500 needs those largest stocks to do something, and just right now they're not.
Fantastic. Michael Naas, have a great weekend. We'll see you on Monday.
Talk to you then.
All right, guys, fantastic stuff as always by Mr. Naas and Brando. All right, guys, let's take a look at some of the analyst actions here this morning. Not too much activity going on here, but we're going to start things off with Salesforce, guys. Salesforce CRM getting its price target lowered from $275 to $235 by BMO Capital. You're down a little bit here, less than 0.1% this morning, guys. Now, Etsy is well positive in the pre-market session, but getting its price target lowered from $76 to $65. And RS, this is Gemini Space Station, guys, 26 to 1150 by Rosenblatt, slightly positive here this morning as well. And Affirm initiating a sell by Robert W. Baird, going from a neutral with a price target of $55. Moving forward, guys, some of the upgrades today, we're going to get a price target increase here with Walmart by Telsey Advisory Group. We're up slightly here this morning, 1 1/5, going from $135 to $140. And this is Paymentus, also up just a little bit under 2% here, guys. Outperform to a strong buy by Raymond James. PAY is that one, once again, price target up $35. And then initiating a buy here on Decker's brand, Argus DECK up 1 1/5 as well. And then John Deere also breaking into new all-time highs yesterday, guys, with a price target increase of $502 to $672 by Bank of America.
Speaking of Deere, something Michael said when you have a consolidation or bull flag, whatever you want to call it, on an upward trend, sometimes you just resume. Now, this is a monthly chart, and maybe you wouldn't call this like a long consolidation. It may be too choppy. But if you simply look at what happens, like this stock, when it compresses and gets boring, is generally speaking what you want to play the breakout of, or simply be sitting waiting for the next leg up. It's just done it before, and then it goes ham, and done it before, and now it's in one of those we're going crazy modes there on John Deere. Like obviously the rotation is going to be a big part of this, but this was from 2020. 2021, we'll call this here. 2021, beginning of 2021, and then you go all the way out to mid-2024. So almost 3.5 years there. It just goes effectively sideways. Like there's ups and there's downs that you could have possibly timed, And the break away from there has almost doubled up at this point in the next 2 years. So it's one of those things, it's one of the terms you'll hear is dead money during a time period. If you like a company, like if it's a company I'm buying, like I don't own Deere, I own Caterpillar, but if I like a company and I like what they're doing and nothing has changed to me and it's in one of these big long bullfight consolidations, I'm looking for places to add into there for that eventual breakout. And what's interesting is in particular, this stock both times when the monthly 50 period caught up with the consolidation, it ripped. Monthly catches up with the consolidation, rips. Some stocks do it with a weekly chart or a monthly chart, but it gives you a reason to say, hey, now it's gone sideways long enough that the major moving averages, instead of extended from it, now we're just hanging off of it, and then the next bounce is your bigger bounce to the upside. So, a good looking chart here for Deere. You really can't complain about them. Again, part of this rotation that we are seeing. This morning, I mean, kind of like everything else, it's slightly down, but it doesn't really trade much. And my guess is if we have some more tech weakness coming in, this probably doesn't get hit as much as some of the other names.
So here we go. You have the VIX right now spiking upside a little bit right now, into some of these levels that we've seen before. So we can wait to see here if the VIX, again, the volatility index wants to explode a little higher through 21, would be a nice little move there. The highest we've been is 2250 just a couple days ago. But yeah, nice little move there for the VIX. If you're looking at a daily chart, yeah, man, uncertainty's in the market just a little bit. As Michael was saying, you can, look and say the market's kind of going sideways, but it's trending right here, the VIX upside move, right? And so I think you can try to play the longs on any dips. If you are a volatility trader, you can trade it with UVXY or anything like that as well. And then the DXY, we just note that again because we've been looking at this for a minute. There's the move up. Here's the settling down, and then we do look for that breakout, of course, of this February high. So we got to get through 98 and change here, down to 97.9. So it's not like it's far away, but that's a quick little look at the dollar and the VIX as well. Throw that super chat on there, my guy. All right. Have you noticed more coiling or consolidative charts like Deere? Well, that's what we have to do. We have to look for more names like that, and that's where you want to use scanners and things like that to break out. I'm trying to think about.
I can't say that I have
something that's coiling up.
I can't say that I have. There was XLF did this a couple of years ago. I would hesitate to say that it looks like it might be in one of those, but if it is, it's so early that it's almost pointless. A couple of names that have a different pattern, and again, this is not what we were just essentially talking about, but have like a little bit of an interesting dip and rip, are if you look at CG and Vistra, Constellation and Vistra, relative to like a GE Vernova, they both have this like dip and rip that's been happening on the monthly, where there's been hefty pullbacks, and you get this reversal candle in. So it's done this before, here, and here. So that's a pattern on Constellation, and I believe the same thing on Vistra. Yeah, Vistra's got more or less the same pattern going on, where you're getting this turn candle, and then maybe you get the press back into some of the highs. So I can't say I've seen that consolidation pattern, but there's some other ones which are looking like bounces.
Yeah, I have one here. So Eli Lilly is one, right? And so here you have some consolidation right here. And as you say, if you like the business, which there's not too many better ones that we thought anyways, at least over the last little while, for the Ozempic, Wegovy, sort of GLP-1 area. So this is one where you're coiling up, right? And trying to break through. So this is just what it looks like. If I can zoom out just a little bit. Yeah, so you had like the flagpole, little consolidation, potentially going higher here as well. But obviously you want to break through 1120, but I think this is a good one here. You have support down, so it looks pretty good to me, man. Eli Lilly. So I think that's almost a perfect example there for you. I have no idea where it's going to go from here, but if you looked at what John Deere was doing before it broke out, it's very, very similar, legging higher and then the break, right? And so I think Eli Lilly could be one of those names. Nick W. All right, we'll go back over to the desk. We're getting close now to talking about our watch list, which isn't overly littered today. There's not too many exciting things happening, but Bitcoin breaking down below 67,000 should be okay. Yeah, I got silver, I got the futures, and I got Tesla on my mind.
We were just talking about the gold mining group. If you want to zoom out, GDX is just an absolute monster, the same as gold. Just going back to the summer of last year, this thing's more than doubled. I mean, you found another one that was just absolutely amazing.
AU, Brendo. This one just, the reason it was even on my radar, this is a ticker for AU, guys. A gold miner. This is the daily on it. You can go even further back from basically the beginning of the year. The beginning of January, we're up about 300%. That's from last year, January 2025. It reported earnings today. That's why it kind of got my attention. But as you pointed out, GDX as well, a lot of these other miners just rocketing up. And shout out to Michael Naas for calling this one out.
Yeah, I mean, we were talking about just from, and sometimes it's as simple as zooming out and just, you know, being technical about it versus actually having an opinion. AKAM, speaking of earnings, AKAM, another one that, I mean, it's not doing a heck of a lot. This thing's had a decent run, though. It's a daily chart. Decent run over the past week or so, back to 110 or just below it right now this morning. I mean, it looks okay. The profit, 150 to 167 versus 175. Bit of a problem spot here, but overall, still a good-looking chart.
And not too bad. Not a company I know too much about, but they're in cloud as well, cloud infrastructure. That revenue came in at $94 million, but that is a 45% bump year over year, signaling, you know, early traction, of course, from AI-related demand. They also offer Neo Cloud services. They signed a 4-year, $200 million cloud infrastructure commitment with a major U.S. tech company, and revenue from that contract is expected to begin in Q4 of this year. It's nice. It's nicely down here, despite some of these headlines, 7 1/5, Brendo. So we'll have to keep an eye out on this one. Close to SSR.
It's not all good, however, in earnings land this morning. I mean, not a huge move, but speaking of gold, I mean, Newmont, NEM, downside a bit here this morning. That's a daily chart. Still, I mean, looks exactly the same as the other ones that we were looking at. Just absolute monster. But if you zoom in this morning, we are downside, trying to bounce right now, however. Back to 122. I mean, 252 versus $2. Looks pretty good to me. Deployment of $1.4 billion into their Newcrest asset portfolio to stem their forecast for 2026. So a little bit of spending offsetting maybe a little bit of a weak forecast.
And I don't really understand why it's selling off. Maybe because it is the CapEx and the investors are concerned about that. But they did fantastic on everything else. EPS beating, Q4 revenue beating. And when you look at the guide as well, EPS 689 ahead of 653. Revenue 22.67 ahead of the 22.07. So we'll have to keep an eye out on this one. But it's down here with basically the overall market, not too bad, down 2 1/3.
All right. I mean, we'll keep an eye on some of these gold names today, guys. But as far as earnings are concerned, not a heck of a lot to look at. AKAM or NEM. Thoughts here?
Well,
we had Open Door, I think. But.
Yeah, well, obviously Open Door is going to be in a different bucket. It's in its own little space. Hopefully doing some meme stuff today, but I don't know. It's weird. Like it fell with the market. Open Door, which is not what I wanted to see. I would prefer if when we had that dip down on GDP, Open Door stayed doing its own thing. Back in the meme stock days, you'd feel that would happen. But for Akamai here, I feel this looks, look, the cloud names have nothing to do with Walmart. I'm just really talking about the action where you get the gap down on the earnings and then it just bouncing so cleanly off the 50-period moving average. Like I feel as if when we see this pattern, a lot of times it'll play all the way back. And that's exactly what last night it played. Obviously this morning it's getting another bounce off of it. 95, not the 92. But we saw this, here, Walmart would be the example yesterday, where off of that support, like it was just, until it got to the top, it was basically just along the whole way. You know, there was one little hang up here at the open where it dipped and then held this 126 area, but then it came all the way back into until it found like a major prior resistance level. So in looking at Akamai here, like that would be somewhere, I mean, it's almost in the 110 range. Like if it gets up there, maybe you get a reversal or some kind of a fade on them, but that would just be looking at the pattern of what happened over in Amazon. And then the bigger difference is it's not a huge volume name either. Juxtapose this with a Walmart. Walmart's going to do better volume pre-market, intraday as well. So I think I'd rather be looking at an earnings name like an Open Door just because you know there's going to be volume. Like whether or not, like Open Door might not be breaking out that 560 anymore because the market fell down in, but there's probably going to be some kind of a trade, maybe off that 5 to 520 area. Oh, we got a super chat here from On the Rail. Thoughts?
What about Toyota Motors?
Where'd it go? I just hit the button and it didn't work. Let's try again. There we go. It worked that time. Thoughts on Toyota stock? Little pullback. Oh, you like some Toyota. Who is it that
It's not doing too much volume.
who was it that we had a
think
guest
it might have
on that
been,
was in love with Toyota stock? Was it Raider?
Raider Trader.
Was-
Oh no, I wasn't in love with anything. I think we asked him about a car company or a pure play stock. I think it probably was Toyota. It was him for sure, and I think it was Toyota. But I don't think this little dip down here. I don't know. It's on no volume. So if this is what you're talking about, this 234 or so area, or if you're talking about a greater dip here, then yeah, I mean the car business is what it is, and obviously it's going to be relying on sales and how those kind of float through. Right there, but yeah, I mean, there's not too many of these names. I mean, we know Ford. It's like some of the some of the legacy car makers have been doing really well, right? The Ford, the GM, all of that, and you've really nailed it off that 200 period moving average. So without knowing too much about the stock, I do think it's a temporary pullback right there for Toyota, and I think you want to buy good companies. But I don't like the car business, so for me, it's stay away from this. But yeah, Toyota, it's great. And I would say, yeah, I mean, it's been really respecting this 200 period moving average. If you get a move back into 200, then I think that's an easy day. But I don't, 5 or 6 straight down days. Got to do more research on that one before I figure it out, because we never talk about Toyota. So I know Nissan was in trouble. I heard the guys talking about that. So.
We got a question in the chat that I'll address here. It was about the tariff ruling from the Supreme Court. So this is today is another day where there is the potential that we get a ruling. Just keep in mind that the last 2 times that we could have got a ruling, we did not get one. So there's a very decent chance that we will not get any ruling on the tariffs. But it's possible today. So certainly, if it does happen, we'd let you guys know right away. I'm not expecting at this point. I'm not. Forget about anticipating it, because it's just disappointment every single time. Before we go back to the desk, one of the earnings things we mentioned was NUE, N-U-E, and they have 21 consecutive dividend raises, and they've just announced a buyback program, but it's not really doing much of anything on that news I just saw. But good-looking chart. Thought I'd pass that one on here. Yeah, I'm not losing any sleep over the Supreme Court. When it happens, it happens, and I'm not betting it's going to happen anytime soon. Let's get into the future, and of course, the watch list, see what's on the move, and see what we're going to be looking at it in less than 30 minutes.
We are down 1/5% here, Neil, going on a quarter here on the SPY. Yesterday, we closed out 684.5. We're below that right now. We're barely below 683. So the deal is we're looking at a red day so far, unless something comes in and changes that. So that 680 level, we're going to say that's our first level of support if we're really selling off. If for whatever reason we catch a bid, we've been putting in lower highs, sadly, this week. With earlier on the 18th, we got up to 689. Subsequent day, 688. Yesterday, barely clearing 687. So those lower highs are intact. We're going to look at 687, Brendo, as that first level of resistance.
As always, if you haven't done so yet, make sure you grab that free from us to you. Comes right to your inbox every single morning. Link is below in the description. Top link there will get you to the sign-up page for the watch list. All kinds of names to consider this morning. Open Door going to be on a lot of people's minds here. Pretty good day, actually. A couple of days ago, we got the pop going into earnings, maybe. Here we are, though, significantly higher this morning on a beat.
I'm going to be looking at this on the midday. We're going to be looking at this possibly as a small cap gapper, especially if it's running, Brendo. So make sure to catch that with us. Let's talk about the report, though. Q4 revenue, $736 million. That is well above the $594 million expected by analysts. With EPS, guys, they're profitable. They brought in 7 pennies per share. The street was looking for a penny lost per share, so an easy beat on the top and bottom line. They purchased a little bit more than 1,700 homes in Q4. That is up 46% sequentially versus what they bought last year. And inventory velocity apparently improved, with homes sitting on the market over 120 days, dropping from 51% last year now to 33%. So even though there is weakness in the real estate market, they've been able to kind of improve their inventory. CEO Kaz Najatian credited the improved operational discipline, including more accurate pricing and faster inventory returns. And they highlighted that in October of last year, acquisition cohort is tracking to become its most profitable ever. We'll have to see if they can continue that. And they're expecting, Brendo, for whatever reason, 10% revenue decline in fiscal 2026 as they look to be a bit more picky with the things that they buy and the prices that they sell at.
If you zoom out a bit, obviously monster way to go if it wants to here, guys, but we're getting back into some key support, or what was support levels here for open today.
Yeah, I mean, obviously a lot of, that's an understatement to say it has a long way to go. It could double from here and still not make a new high on open door. All of that said, it could have gone differently if we got a different GDP number potentially, but that is what it is. It seems like everything in the market flushed. It did the gap fill. We said this yesterday. It looks good, 4 or 5 break. That's fine, but it gaps through that in the earnings aftermarket. So there's $5.20 and there's $5. Those are the 2 reversion spots I'm looking. And then the breakout trade, you got to put that on the back burner because there doesn't look like a consolidation break happening above $5.60. I thought that had room to $6 if you see the chart a little bit further out. But now that we're sliding, if you're looking for any kind of a meme trade, it's going to have to try to hold out some of these lows, maybe get like a later in the day kind of idea. So it might not be an early opportunity. It's going to do a ton of volume though, open door. There's no question about that. So it's going to be up, and we just have to be patient waiting for it to set up a little bit better. And there's going to be other small caps that are moving around as well. So just keep that in mind. Like I saw a couple of people in the chat mentioning a few other good ones in there. Like Sharif was looking at CDIO. That can be on the radar. Rhyme is on my radar. If only, and this is probably not another chance to talk about a small capper. If only, if it breaks down underneath this multi-day support here at the 250 level. If it just sits here and goes sideways, whatever, it is what it is. But if it breaks down underneath the 250 or can break out above this 3/4 mark. If it's diddling in the middle, I won't touch this thing, but it's lots of room to go in either direction on Rhyme, so that'll also be on watch as far as the small capper goes.
Yeah, I was just reading about open door management issues, cautious 10% year-over-year revenue decline. That's not going to be great. They expect a major rebound in profitability. However, yeah, so for open door, they've had, I was just listening this morning that mortgage rates right now are at, I think, lows of the last couple of years. 6.1%, I think, was the average rate that's out there, down from 6.8 this time a year ago. So mortgage rates becoming a little bit more, in line with affordability, I guess. I don't know. I still think it's way too high. It should almost be free, a mortgage rate. But anyways, nice little move to the upside rate there for open door. Yeah, still 14% short float. I don't know, man. Like earnings have sort of been misleading. Like we had Walmart move right away yesterday and then downside. Like we shorted the out of Walmart yesterday. That was a great trade, one of the best ones for me yesterday. And I'm almost feeling like the same thing for open door. I mean, until we break this 555, I would think short, but it's been doing nothing here. So, not reacting really to the GDP, not really doing anything here, open door. So I would say I like to see the volume pick up, obviously. Nice move there off what we just saw in the report, but the real money hasn't come in yet. I would be favoring short until we break that 550. I really do think a break of this 200 period, we get lower. The pre-market low is where we're going to open at, so you can't really use that level. We battled around this 510 area or so there. Maybe that's a break lower. But I honestly think it's just waiting to see if you can get short, and then if it breaks, you just get out. And I think that would be the trade there for open door today. Like I said, I was just reading it, like 46% surge in home acquisitions. That's nice. Their stale listings are down. So that just goes, there are more people buying this, but the cautious outlook isn't the greatest. But, if you've been sitting in this name, it's a nice little relief to the upside. But we've seen so many names get carried away like this and then just make their way back down. Check quantum names, check, energy, uranium names, many different ideas, SaaS names right now. So yeah, open door, obviously it is a software with some underlying, homes, supporting the platform. But at the end of the day, it's been a rough ride for them, and they bounced off $4 a couple times, right into there and then right into there. I think if we lose it, then it's a problem, man. Honestly, I feel like this probably wants to sit around 2 to 250, but it's a nice move up, and celebrate it today. If you were lucky enough to buy it pre-earnings, man, take your 15%. It's just you never know what's going to happen. And we say when there's a gap play to VWAP, and now we're underneath it, so it doesn't look great for that. But all right, let's go back over to the desk and talk to the guys about our next stock. Here's another car name. We just talked about Toyota. We'll go with Tesla right now.
Optimus.
Down move here with the overall market right now. However, we are chopping around inside the range from the past couple of days, really past week or so, really, for Tesla. A couple of price changes, interesting ones at that. The Cyberbeast, which Sharif will touch on in a second here, monstrous cut, which is just absolutely crazy. Like $59,990.
Yeah.
Like
That's
this is
fantastic.
When this thing came out, it was, correct me if I'm wrong,
Over 100.
Over $100,000.
Easily, yeah.
So now we're selling at 60 here for Tesla. But I mean, I think it goes to this whole conversation about him switching the focus of,
He has to.
of the actual company and maybe getting rid of some of this inventory.
And you've got to like stop the hemorrhaging. I mean, the year-over-year decline in sales, Breno, he's got to do something there, even if the margins are going to get cut. And that's exactly what's going to happen. He dropped the price of the Cyberbeast by 13%. That's not a small amount, guys, because margins for Tesla are like 14 to 18%. So a 13% drop is kind of eye-watering. So the Cyberbeast price now reduced to $99,990. Okay, but I want to bring in the Canadian website because this always gets my goat, man. So that $99,000 vehicle in the U.S. is $175,882 in Canada, and that is not due to the currency whatsoever. So a bit of a tougher look there. But look, Brendo, he's doing other things as well. He is really trying to focus on putting in a little bit less options. So he's removed the FSD. There was this Cybertruck that included FSD included, as well as free supercharging. He's kind of removed that model. That's obviously an overhead for him there. It was called the Lux package. And we know that their Tesla Cybertruck division has had some problems with the head of Tesla's, with the head of Cybertruck division leaving in November. And that mix towards lower price vehicles, as I mentioned earlier, probably hurts margins.
I don't know if, is there an easy way to distinguish between the two?
It's just there's a little bit,
or something?
yeah, there's a little bit, it's written in kind of like street or like graffiti.
Okay.
It says Cyberbeast on the corner.
I haven't paid
There's
attention.
also a couple of other ways as well. The wheels that you get on the Cyberbeast are a little bit different than the standard.
I mean, there's tons of them rolling around the city.
Yep.
I can't think of ever seeing an actual Cyberbeast yet.
Not too much of a differentiation. You really got to nitpick. You got to look.
We'll keep an eye out. But thoughts here, guys. Tesla, I mean, it's consolidating.
Oh yeah, definitely consolidating. The problem is like Tesla's not really, it hasn't really been moving on these types of headlines. And there's a couple ways to look at it. You could look at, okay, well, does that actually do anything good for margins? And then throw in the fact that it's not like it's not the biggest item for sales for them anyways. So I don't know if this is going to necessarily move the needle here. We were just talking about how in China they had a demonstration of some of their robots, which were doing like martial arts demonstrations and stuff, which is obviously farther ahead than Optimus presumably is right now. I think that's the next thing, or maybe something in terms of automation or continuing with automation that'll be more important. But for today, consolidated was exactly the right word, I think, when Brennan was saying that, and it's 405 in here, the yesterday's low. Besides the dip into 400, like you've got that kind of room, like lose the bottom, go to 400. And then even if you start breaking out, how good do you feel about us busting past like 415 or 416? Like we've had 2 days of inside range on Tesla to be able to work with. So like it didn't make my list, but if we're actually gonna move farther away from this diddling in the middle at 410, I think you look for a reversion here, especially if there's a move to the upside. I just can't see this price cut news being that big of a deal. But you're diddling directly in the middle, which is kind of a no-fly zone for me. Had we been closer to that 15, 16, I think that would have been more of an opportunity. Oh, one note, we got time. We actually didn't get to this yesterday, which was kind of wild given how far it moved to the downside. There was a lot of things moving in yesterday's trade, but Rivian was a huge dump yesterday. 16. Basically $16 to $15, almost exactly, and pretty clean. There was one check up here to 15.6, pre-market highs at 15.6. Probably see where I'm going with this. It has a good setup for a failed break of the pre-market high, because that's twice resistance yesterday. So if it fails, there's a topping tail candle here on Rivian at 15.6, $15.60, then I would look for that kind of like pop and fade reversal pattern. Nasty day for them. I mean, they moved so much more than Tesla yesterday. Could see a repeat of that.
Yeah, Rivian's a disaster. Hopefully it's not with the R2. We can get our hands on one of those and maybe buy the stock at some point down there. I mean, Rivian had a really good quarter, and went to 1850 or though, and then fell back in. I have Tesla written on my note here today. 408 to 409 long, and that's funny because like we write that obviously, and it was very cautiously writing that down as we approached the numbers, and it was just coming right into here. So we've seen this all yesterday hold this area. Obviously, we started a lot lower, came back in, held. So I mean, I don't, you know, I was not expecting the Nasdaq to be down 1% as we're going to open up the day here, as we started the day with it flat. So it does fall back in, and yeah, we've already switched our bias over to negative time for the market, but this could be a really good buy zone for Tesla. So let's see how this market opens up, and this is what I'm looking at right now. We're right in it right now. I feel like the market dropping here, probably going to be a short, and now that we're underneath VWAP, we're underneath everything, and like hanging out down here. I was hoping that we would get a flush, and then this is what happened. It went right exact, like if the market was open and we got this number, it would have came right into 408.50. There's the bounce $1, and we take that. You know, but right now you're hovering around this area. The bounce has already happened twice, and it's been faded both times. So yeah, with the market not down that much right now, but if it continues to make a lower move, then yeah, this 408 is going to be a problem. And then we sort of got to zoom out a little bit and see, you know, where that next level is. And we've already seen it down here at 400. So that could be something that ticks around today, to be honest with you. So, you know, if we drip a lot more than this and get like an instant sort of flush off the open, potentially bounce areas 404, 405. You know, when you zoom back out, and this is only going out a week, so it's nothing certain here. I don't think we have to worry about topside for today. So let's just worry about that if and when it gets there. Hopefully we'll be long and this market can settle down and we'll be able to find a bottom here for Tesla. So that's what I'm thinking. I think the Cybertruck price cut is extremely bullish. You know, more of those trucks on the road is better for them. They can sell more FSD licenses. And I mean, and that's essentially what they want to do. So we'll wait to see what winds up happening there. Margin's going to get squeezed on a price. Yeah, she doesn't like the Cybertruck. She's Rivian now, man, unfortunately. If anything, I would flip over into a Cybertruck and just run people over on the roads, in their cars, of course, not actual people. All right. So we'll, 60, I was looking at Bitcoin here, 67,000. All right, Meta, here we go, man, like another Mag 7 name that can't seem to get out of its way, but we'll see if it can get back down to 600, where that was been the recent buy zone.
Yeah, market not helping currently as well with this one. We're back to, I guess, 2 days ago level right now. It's not a significant story this morning, but worth noting here, Meta going to cut stock-based comps for employees by 5%. Zuck looking to, I guess, find some cash to keep buying AI stuff potentially.
He's spending 115 to 135 billion in capex just this year, and he's hiring a bunch of people, having to lure them over from other companies, whether it's Alexander Wang, Scale AI, or all the other talent he's stealing from Apple, Google, and Amazon, wherever else he's getting them. And this is the second year in a row, Brando, that he's actually cut stock-based compensation. He surprised everybody last year with a 10% cut. This year, not as aggressive, 5%. As we know, as I've mentioned earlier, really redirecting the capital to AI. And he's also cutting from other areas as well, specifically Reality Labs, which is basically since 2021 has lost $70 billion. He cut 10% of the staff there, which employs about 15,000 employees. So not insignificant price cut.
Yeah. Again, not something that's going to wildly move the stock at all, but worth keeping an eye on, guys, if you are in this maybe long term.
Yeah, I think so too. But I mean, also, ignore these wicks. I don't like that daily chart because it's got some dark pool wicks in it. So I'm going to go to here because I want this to look proper. It's at 600 where the support has been, but it's a consolidative zone here. I didn't like the fact there were some dark pool wicks showing you this dip down into 600. But it's a consolidative zone, not necessarily in the best of ways here for Meta. And when you look at what that's been, see, these are the ones I'm talking about. Basically the entirety of the week. It's like 630, 645. Yesterday, it was a brick wall at 645 bucks that actually lasted half a day. There was some very long consolidations in a few stocks. The afternoon Walmart held like a 50-cent range for like an hour or so, and Meta held like this $1.50 range for almost 2 hours as well. But the problem is you're breaking down underneath. It's just not looking overly good. And then here's another thing. I'm just gonna pull up the mags for a second here. And I think it'll be do I want the daily? Nah, I want the weekly. If you look at the weekly load on the mags, like we're confirming this break of support here on the Mag 7 ETF, if anyone that doesn't know what mags is. So you had lost support last week, and then we're confirming the hold underneath. And if you look at the 50 period there, that's lining up with a very significant prior top, prior little bounce zone, and the 50 period is kind of lining up here. So I think there's a little bit more downside left in this group, and Meta, with that seller at 645, seems like we could get a retest close to that 600, where it's been a much better buy than up here.
Okay, I was just gonna say, like I said this before, like, and that's why we brought the mags to you a couple weeks ago, like just to show you the sort of the divergence between like the rest of the market. We talk about the S&P 493 and the RSP. Look, Meta got a lot of credit for their CapEx spend, and everybody was like, okay, these guys are, you know, making some money, they're showing some profitability on that whole side of thing, and then all of a sudden it was like we forgot all about sort of that thinking. So I don't know, like, I'm not sure why it's gone all the way back and now below where we were before that earnings report. I mean, that was such a rock star report. I mean, I don't even think there was really anything wrong with it. So you know, if any of the Mag 7 names that I'm most excited to be in would be Meta moving forward. But yeah, I do understand that there is some, you know, legal, there's always gonna be DOJ and everybody, you know, questioning the social media aspect, screen time, and all that kind of stuff. But I mean, there really is only one king, and that king is Meta. So you can put the crown on it wherever you want to, at whatever level. But I think this is a very good long-term play. You know, the glasses, the watch, the Facebook, the Instagram, the WhatsApp. Like, there's a lot involved here, making of their own chips now, and just getting more efficient, and hopefully realizing some of the CapEx spend turns back into, and this is why they got that bump up, a profitability expansion leading to a bottom line increase of their balance sheet, right, in their income statement, sorry. So that's, you know, they had a big EPS, they were sort of proving the spend was worth it, and then all of a sudden they got hit again. So I actually really like the dip buy opportunities here in Meta. For a day trade, I don't know, I'm negative today, like in the market in general. I mean, that's what my whole thing was. So I'm going to hold off on buying any Meta today, but I do think for long term, it would be my Mag 7 sort of pick for now. I still, Google's my long, you know, a good one, but I just think Meta's been hit too much now. Like its high was what, 780? Yeah, $800. So down to 640 right now. So even if you were to buy it today, you know, you're going from, let's just say, I don't know exactly how this calculator thing here works, but there it is. Like, so it's saying down 20% right there, which kind of makes sense. $800 down to 640. Yeah. So
well, it's under 30p now, and the forwards now.
Oh yeah, but that's still too high.
No, the forwards under 20 on Meta now. So
okay,
so
that's good.
See, that sets it up for like next quarter. If Meta meets expectations, you're looking at a 20, an under 20 PE on the stock,
is, like,
and that's
the quarter.
It's just a buy. Yeah. But I mean, what Mag 7 name isn't a buy under a 20 PE? I mean, maybe it's a rhetorical.
No. That's why we liked Google. I mean, Google was under there for a while.
Exactly.
It was at 18 for a minute, and then it shot back up. I mean, Sharif remembers when we were pounding the table on Meta, it was under $100, and we were loading the crap up on that thing, and now it's $700. So you know, you play with the ebbs and flows. You can't think about like where the stocks have come from because it's a completely different world. Like Meta was not spending $200 billion capex a quarter. They don't even know what the hell capex was. But what he was putting in, we were crushing the guy for $10 billion into the metaverse. You know, back then we're like, what are you doing with this $10 billion? Like, if they did $10 billion now, the stock would tank like 50%.
They'd be like, oh no, you're not.
We chart Palantir.
We can. It's available in the market, so we can pull it up.
Yeah,
no
sure.
problems. That's Robert Lewis, 8344. So Lee Evans and Daryl Strawberry. That's very random, but I had to throw a bill out there, and I couldn't think of anybody else besides Daryl Strawberry for 44. Appreciate the super chat. Look, the daily chart, we've probably all seen it, the pullback in Palantir. The last couple of days, it's just, like, yesterday was a consolidative day. It does have a sort of a head and shoulders pattern, like this bounce, then this little bit of a, kind of like the one shoulder is higher than the other, but it's still that same setup. Like, what you have is a fail of a breakout over 136. And I don't think there's, like, what has changed here? Outside of the fact that it ran in the open, but went right into that shoulder and failed. So if it runs into the shoulder and fails again, I don't see what's changed. The 126 support looks good, but that's a big, hefty gap until you get there. For sure. No particular catalyst why it's down a little bit more than the market, but that's par for the course for Palantir when we have weakness in tech and weakness in the AI trade, that you'll have a little bit more weakness in Palantir, just percentage-wise. But the chart's pretty identical to the futures right now.
All right, Celsius here, back to the downside right now. Came back through 47, tried to hold a little bit early on this morning. A decent sized beat here right across the board for Cell 8.
Yeah, this was really interesting, Brendo. There was this conference yesterday called CAGNY, I think, conference. There was a lot of upbeat commentary by management at the conference yesterday. They made different pronouncements about, different metrics for their business. They highlighted 25% growth in shelf space, increased cooler placement, and a 6% growth in retail. They also said the expanded assortment strategy for them is really benefiting them with younger audiences. We're talking about single-serve, multi-packs, coolers is driving strong retail performance and deeper category penetration. And guess what? Energy drinks now represent 20% of liquid refreshment beverages sales. That's up from 14%.
That's so crazy.
So it's basically, look, I see the kids all the time at the gym. They're all chugging these energy drinks, right?
Yeah.
And the different assortments. Very few of them walk in with coffees in their hands. You know exactly who they're targeting here.
I mean, this thing's been pretty ugly the past couple of weeks here, guys, on a higher time frame. What do we do with Celsius today?
I think with the volume as it is for the day trade, you might pass. But if you're looking at it and on any other time frame here, that little downward trend seems to be like this would be a break of that trend. It tried before off to 50 period and immediately reversed. So I think it's the kind of trade where you need to see it hold this move, at least the initial part of this move. But that's a pretty obvious uptrend break, and a little bit of a downtrend break here on Celsius. It's just gapping through, and there's very little volume to confirm this move, especially with the market weak. So you want to see the reaction today. It would need to hold the 46 today, and then come there Monday and at least be still above that 46 as well. It's not enough to hold it today. You actually have to also hold it on Monday, and I think you have a little swing opportunity after that conference. It's not bad. You're still in a couple of ways. It's still looking good because you have the rounded bottom. You got the 200 period, which is still gliding to the upside for now. Not necessarily my cup of tea because it's got successive lower highs, which to me is a little bit bearish. But it gets a little bit better if it can hold a 45, 46. I always prefer things above the 50 and the 200 period moving average as well. So that would be like another reason I'm not as jazzed about this. And I'm also not an energy drink person at all.
Yeah, I've never had an energy drink, but you can see right here. I'm looking at SoFi. SoFi could have this flat bottom break right now of $19. Yesterday we got into 18.95 and held it. It looks like that bottom is 18.84 right now, and you're down another 1.3% here in SoFi and looking like it wants to break it. Yesterday's low level right there, 18.95. So I think you can. If the market continues to bleed down today and the financials lose a little bit of steam here, we can check out Robinhood as well, see what that's doing. But a break there of 18.95, you could use VWAP. That's only 30 cents higher, so it gives you a little bit of runway there to watch this stock if it goes any lower. I want to see if Robinhood's still holding that $70 mark. Yes, it is. So that was another level there that we're looking for. It's very, very similar break in and around 70, but Robinhood's nicely higher. We actually went long Robinhood in the middle of the day yesterday. We wound up. It wasn't in the middle of the day because I wasn't here. It must have been, it must have been 2 days ago, I guess. Yeah, right here, I think, when it came back in. It went upside and then it whooshed down. Yeah, right around, that's right, 230. So we were trying to hold this bid of 74, 75 change right there, 75, 75. And so right now, you're kind of losing that bid again with the momentum to the downside. So Robinhood and SoFi both looking lower, but I do like SoFi look there. Here's the imbalance locator, ZSL buy, that means a silver short. Not much else going on. Let's go over to NVIDIA. There's only 2 minutes left. Let's talk about NVIDIA. Blue Owl also on here, but NVDA, and then we got to open this market.
Back higher again this morning initially, but we're sitting on yesterday's support right now for NVIDIA. Again, this is not really something that's going to dramatically move the stock, but more details with the OpenAI tie-up.
Yeah, we got a little bit of it yesterday. More information today, Brendo. Discussions about investing $30 billion into OpenAI as part of a new funding round that would value OpenAI at about $730 billion. That's pre-money valuation, though. The proposed investment is entirely separate from the previously $100 billion announced infrastructure agreement between the two companies. The new $30 billion would not be tied to deployment milestones like that $100 billion is. The deal is not finalized and remains subject to change. The first $10 billion investment, Brenda, would be deployed under when a gigawatt facility was completed. That is part of the old old $100 billion. The new $30 billion is independent of any milestone roadmap. It would just be a lump sum payment.
NVIDIA spending more money, yawn. Remember, may or may not get tariff news today at 10 o'clock, guys, from the Supreme Court. Last two have been a complete swing and a miss, so we'll see what happens this morning at 10 a.m. Good luck.
Yeah, 100%. And I think, look, I'm not really expecting anything there. But if we do, be ready for it, and we'll know at 10 o'clock. We'll have our ear to the ground. For NVIDIA, look, 188, 190, 192. Those have been three resistance spots every couple of dollars. Close price Wednesday. Pre-market highs today and yesterday's highs at 188. I'm thinking it's still a bit of a fade. I'm also, well, I was going to tell you that I like 45 short on Intel, but it's already at 44 because that's what this stock seems to do recently. As the market is now open for the last time this week, we didn't get a good GDP number, so the market instantly heading to the downside. Bitcoin just broke back to 67,000 and is actually at VWAP. So this actually does have a chance to maybe test some of the highs from not just yesterday, but also on Thursday at 38.8. Initial moves immediately to actually Tesla, the biggest mover off the open that I can see to the downside. So Tesla losing a bit of the bid here, I guess dropping the price of Cybertruck, not being received that well early.
Yeah, I mean, the market is a big problem here. And there goes Tesla, too. Yeah, 406. Let's look at silver to see what that's doing. That was another name for myself, too. But 72.50 not coming into play yet. That's going to be VWAP. We wrote down 71.50 for silver. So that's going to have to come into play now. It's still up 3% and still a ways away from that one. Yeah, Tesla, what a bounce, man. We talked about that initial bounce area down near that 405. I mean, that was exactly where it bounced off of. But this is what the market does. You got to give it a little bit of time to figure out its breadth and what it wants to do there today. It looks like it's trying to, if we zoom in a little bit here on this market downside, trying to bounce upside a little bit now. We'll see if it does have that handle in it. We just talked about NVIDIA levels, and it kind of swooped down to the downside right there and caught a bit at 186. So now we'll wait to see if that winds up being the one that holds it. But here we go, nice little move back upside now. We're not long anything. We're going to try to be as patient as we can be right now with the market, but the Nasdaq is trying to get going just a bit. I don't have, the only long I was talking about here was going to be silver. And then Tesla, I like the long, but we broke through some of those levels, so we got to see if it now holds 408. But yeah, Tesla, silver, and the Qs is what I like short, but here comes the Qs right back up. So we might be getting into a shortable area if we can get back to VWAP 48.50.
One note, Oxy was looking for a continuation play, but note said 50 or a breakout, not doing either one of those two things for now. But looky, Intel just went down to 43.5. So that was a quick 3% in the red and now trying to bounce a little bit. Open door, no breakout for open. It gets right up into the highs and right back down low. That was very, very quick. It already bounced off of 520, so I don't know if I'm not going to like that level again because it already gave you 520 into this 560. So no breakout. When you pull back 10%, I cancel my breakout order because I don't want to be sitting there catching the tail end of a move. Was looking for a break, but that's a good thing about a breakout. If it doesn't happen, you don't have to take it. As open door, giving up a good portion of the gain, still up on the day, it's still up 12%, but giving up almost 10% off of that high just now. IBIT still creeping a little bit higher.
Yeah, here we go.
And ooh, even NVIDIA.
Yeah, everything's starting to go for a little bit
Everything's starting to go for a little bit of a jaunt. Yeah, so NVIDIA is getting through VWAP. It gets into this 188. The first look is yesterday's high, then the 190 level is the bigger level there on NVIDIA. Yeah, so we're getting a nice little bounce play here in the market, but not huge. I mean, ES still a quarter point down, hasn't gone that far yet. You know, Nasdaq still about a 30% to the downside as well, but about to go green is NVIDIA.
All right, we got the, right now, first position here will be a short. As we said, we were, wrong stock. Right here, short in the TQs, bouncing right up to the 200 period moving average. I like the stock. I want to get out of this if it does. I wrote down 49, so we're just going to start early on this. We understand that. Averaging it into my initial price was going to be 48.70s. So if we can get up to 48.70, I think that would be something worth taking. Let me get a little bit more here at 55, 56, but still looking for, I mean, look, the market, we had said this could happen, you know, when you get those numbers. numbers that come out, and all of a sudden it flushes to the downside. And then when the real market opens up, and now you just get nothing but like immense buying right now. So we'll see. We're short right here, right now, at the 200 period moving average, trying to get shorter up here. And then if we're wrong, and we can get out no problem at 49. So that's when we be the stop. We might as well just put that right now so we don't have to forget about it in case the market does really rip upside. So there it is, man. We'll check out what that's going on with in a couple seconds as we'll get back to the futures. All right, so exactly what we said on Open Door was watch out for a run right back up to this high, and then I would short that high, and we didn't do it. So 55.55 right there, the high of the day for Open Door, and it stays the high of the day for Open Door. So that would be, for now, something to look at. Again, if it breaks it, you want to go long, I would use that 60 level. I mean, you know, to predict the exact top right there was crazy, but that is what happened. And then we go back into 60. So I think if you're still short, you could probably hold on to that. I'm holding on to my short right now on the futures and seeing if we can get some continuation longs right now, or shorts in this market. But a nice little bounce up right there. Maybe I'm going to get a little bit more short because I don't feel like I have enough. But here we go, shorting on the TQs.
Yeah, the first test at Bitcoin was yesterday's high, so it did do a topping tail, does not hold above yesterday's top. That'll be, I don't know, it's like 67, call it 67.3 or so on Bitcoin. Just pulled back through VWAP for a bit, so started to take it out underneath that price. Here comes Intel to the upside. All right, the market's bouncing. Intel got flushed off the open. Gonna look to play this into yesterday's lows. That's about $44. So if it can get, close to 44, that'd be the spot that I would look to fade this, as usual. NVIDIA still chewing back up to the upside. And then Oxy, looking for that day 2 play on Oxy. It's starting to go. So Occidental's above VWAP. It's trending higher. Going to look to join this. If it can hold the volume weighted average price, that'd be a go zone for me. Kind of hard to see, but that'll be 51.4 approximately. So it's starting to pull back. Want to be buying the dip for continuation in Oxy. Rocket ship on earnings yesterday.
Okay, yeah, still just waiting. Here we got a little bit more shares, obviously, here on this move higher in the futures. Might be the wrong way. We've been, taking trades almost too early whenever we seem to take these futures. So let's just wait to see if it does give us a back end trade. We had this kind of trade yesterday. Remember, we got stopped out of Walmart. We can check what Walmart's doing. We got stopped out of Walmart early, and then we got the one. Holy crap! Almost at 122. We were short 130 yesterday at Walmart. Like, pretty big, and it was a great trade, and we had to wait for that to happen. So we had got stopped out. There it is at 9:30 yesterday. So we got stopped out on the first move into 130, and then once it didn't continue, then we hit the short again, and then we rode it basically all the way down. I had to get out because I wasn't here this afternoon in the afternoon, but yeah, all the way to the lows of the day, basically. Besides, actually, yeah, the lows of the day, closing at the lows. So we shorted the top end there of Walmart 130, and now today you're down another 2% as this name continues to bleed a little bit lower there off of earnings. So if you're talking about like earnings plays, yeah, this is what can happen sometimes. But okay, so now we have our full position. Just waiting. You know where the stop is, man. We're short at 64 here. If this happens to be a 35-cent hit, that's what it is. We're going to take it and we're going to move on. So right now we're going to, now we're really getting excited. Is it Apple? Like, everything is going now. I mean, the market is really ramping up here like mad. Apple
Meta looks pretty strong.
That was one of the ones that I saw in the chat.
Meta, yeah, because Meta just broke yesterday's high. That brick wall at 645 that held for like half of the day, that's starting to bust right through on Meta. And you were just looking at Apple. NVIDIA's kind of going. It's actually turning right around at yesterday's top, so it might not be an NVIDIA story. And then one more for you, Amazon. That one is at the pre-market highs, but actually turning back as we speak. So, I don't know, Meta looks like the one that's extending, if I had to choose in that Mag 7. Bitcoin trying to play it back into this, I'll call it the pre-open support, but also the afternoon support. But we only get halfway here. So it's looking like it's still short, still thinking as well that I would like to be in Intel, but once again, this just continues to hold at the low of the day. This one might be gone. Sometimes this stock is so bad at the open, and then the next time you get a chance to short it is like, this was 10:45 when it actually set up again for a short. But the market blasting and these guys looking like absolute trash. That's what they do.
Yeah. All right. So let's just have a quick check on. Yeah. So there. I mean, good call there. I mean, as Meta just continues to go higher and higher. I want to look at SoFi. We looked at that bottom break and didn't take it, but there it goes. You know, through $19 down to $18.85. So
Get ugly.
yeah. At least we talked a little bit about that name there, but yeah, not getting any prettier before it's getting uglier. That's for sure. I mean. Yeah, breaking below these key levels there on SoFi. So we got to say see you later to that one. Just looking to see if there's anything else really going. I don't see too much else hitting. My trade right now, Tesla, wow, Tesla's all the way back to 410 as that just keeps on getting going there. Oh man, we nailed the space, but you can't take it. Can't take anything basically within the first like 2 minutes. And you did have a huge move down there, and that's like a death candle for me, because if we had gone long where we said between 408-ish, I think we said, yeah, 408, that's a problem. So it comes right in and goes to 405. I mean, I'm stopped out there and getting smoked if that ever winds up happening. So be very, very careful. Okay, now we're starting to print, man. Now we'll see if we can put some money back in our pockets. We take a little bit out here of this trade, but we got to be patient. If we're going to let the market develop, it has to develop, right? I mean, yesterday we had a short on for a minute, and it worked out fantastically on the Palantir short. We were short 136s on Palantir, and then that Walmart trade. So just out a little bit there at 66. We were short at 73s, so a little bit of a trade there. We'll see if we can get it again. I was waiting for 48.50. So that's right where our 200 period is. And then, you know, worst case, not worst case, but, you know, if we get back down into here, that'd be pretty sweet, man. 48.20, that's the 200 period. But see, we just bounced there. So it's a good thing to get out, but we only got out at 15%. So
worth noting, 4 minutes and we have S&P Global manufacturing PMI is going to be coming out in a couple of minutes. So that could be a bit of a mover. And it's just in 4 minutes, and we'll have that for you. And as the market tries to bounce back higher, hey, IBIT's holding. You know, again, it just continues to hold the even dollar. This hopping tail still looking pretty good. I got my stop over this resistance level at about 38.2, but we're starting to look a little bit more constructive to the upside. I looked over at Oxy. Still, it's really not moving outside of the range. There's no break of the high. There's no play to even get you close to the $50 level. It's under VWAP, so we're going to have to put that one on the back burner. And there was a small cap, or at least on my mind, but I liked 250 as a key level on Rhyme, but I'm being real. I was looking for a breakdown under 250. Rhyme bounces off that 250 and is up a good 15%. From that bottom. But just watch out if you're looking at this small capper, the volume is much lower than recent days. Another reason I kind of like the short, to be honest.
All right, everybody. Yeah, so far so good on the day. We're just going to have to wait. I don't like the fact that I'm holding the short near the highs of the day here when we do have that number coming out. And just referencing the watch list, we do have Sia back there, so she'll be running some of the numbers there for Adara when they start to come out. That's 9:45, S&P Global Manufacturing PMI. When Neil and I hear them, we'll read them out as well, and then maybe we'll go back there. But they're looking for minus... Oh, we have minus 52.4. No, it's 52.4 versus prior 52.4. So the expected is what's expected. There it is. So fail right there on the TQ short. Look at the market just blasting right there. Now going positive goes the market. So great trade off of that break of the 200 period and VWAP, but there it goes upside. We'll take an L on the short there to start with. Google's on fire. I know, I see that, man. Google right now, 310.
That's the one.
And that is just like shooting right now as the market has a little bit of a pullback day here on a Friday. What's up, Sia?
So just right here, I'm seeing U.S. President Donald Trump speaking that I am considering a limited strike on Iran. Just to give you a breakdown of this, if the Strait of Hormuz, which lies between the Persian Gulf and the Gulf of Oman, is blocked and is considered unsafe by Iran, it could potentially hike up oil prices very significantly. And oil prices have already risen 5% this week alone. To give you a picture, more than 14 million barrels per day pass through the strait. Back to the guys.
Thank you very much. Limited strike. They're not going to like that. I mean, the second I heard that, my first thought was, okay, I'm not moving stop, but we could get stopped at a Bitcoin. That last push up didn't have it break the local high. So in that sense, it's going to be good. But Oxy, it's starting to go. It's just nothing crazy. It's still very much inside. It's not holding above VWAP yet. Obviously, it's not going to break it anytime soon. So I got to back away from that notion. Open door is still diddling in the middle. It did bounce off 520, so that's one positive, but it's put in consecutive lower highs, still holding underneath the volume weighted average price, still not breaking out to 560, so not looking incredibly good yet. I just saw in the chat Commodity King saying Bloom, so Bloom must be going again. No. Oh man, I know there's people, lots of people in the chat that like this one to the long side, so I'm always hoping that Bloom is breaking out for everybody. But how many days is it going to do this? See, this is the problem. I know what we're all waiting for, or anybody's waiting for on Bloom, and that's for it to go Bloom through 160. So if someone types it in, you're going to fool me, and I'm going to check, and if it's not over 160, then I'm just going to do the old audible groan. But that's a good-looking breakout for Bloom Energy. I'm with you on that. It just has to happen.
Yeah, I mean, that's been such a big stock, that is for sure. All right, so the market goes up, comes into sort of where these or sort of where the pre-market trading was located there, and then we fall back in just a little bit. But a key level to watch out for. Now with only 15 seconds to go, not really worth taking too many other positions right now until I know we missed. What's up, A. Odell Smith Jackson there? We did miss the Google move higher, but yeah, wow. Didn't really have any notes on this one, so wasn't really expecting it. Okay, here we go, man. We'll see what this market's going to do. It's now 345. It's now 945, and that number 51.2, 52.4 expected, 51 coming out. So lower than forecast here. For our number that just came out, and we're going to wait to see what the market is on that. Global S&P manufacturing PMI, 52.4 comes out 51.3, so a little lower than expected, but doesn't seem to be really affecting the market at all. No reaction to that one. It seems like that GDP number was not as bad as we all thought there, coming out at, what was it, 1.3 versus 2.3 or 1.8 versus 2.8?
1.4 versus.
Yeah, so it was not great, but the market right now just printing higher. So
I'd say it was bad.
So there it goes, but the market doesn't really care about that. And, you know, the trade on the short side, you know, it's funny because instead of the futures, just would have been SoFi. SoFi is really getting hit right here, down to 1885 now, down 2 2/3, or 2 1/3. JP Morgan, not flushing, but sort of feeling like flushing a bit. So it looks like the Nasdaq names are the ones that are getting back going now.
The metals are also going. You've got silver breaking out up 4% through the highs. I would make the assumption, I haven't looked, we tend to look at a little bit more at SLV these days because it's more volatile. Gold up 1%, notice the difference. Similar charts, one up 4%, one up 1%. So as a trading vehicle, silver is probably going to give you more bang for its buck on most days. Looks like the same thing is happening today. There was almost no chance to really trade off of 44 on Intel unless you were just sort of getting run over on the way to the upside. But that just wicked the prior day low, and it's coming right back up. So we're going to go back to the desk with Sia, but as the market makes another run for the high, if we fail 44 again on Intel, that would be the other trade I'm looking for, as Bitcoin is at least now falling through VWAP. Sia?
Yeah, we're just going to take a quick look at these numbers here. The S&P Global Composite PMI flash came out 52.3, with the previous number standing at 53. The number's a little less. S&P Global Manufacturing PMI also came out, current number standing at 51.2 and previous at 52.4, with the forecast being at 51.8. So that's not a big gap over there. And the S&P Global the S&P Global Services PMI flash also came out today with the actual number standing at 52.3, previous at 52.7, and a forecast of 52.5. Not a big gap here again, guys.
All right, thank you, Sia. We also want to thank everybody who's watching us on TikTok, man, putting up some big numbers over there. So shout out to everybody that's doing the best work for us over there on TikTok. Thanks, Fabian, Ramin, Andre, Brendan, everybody for getting that stream going. So just another avenue for us with everybody. So shout out to the TikTokers there, maybe Sharif now watching all about TikTok right there. So yeah, maybe the market does wind up eventually falling back in here. So that's what it's trying to do. I'm trying to be as patient as I can, waiting for actually something to develop right now. And I don't really see too much. If anything, maybe an AMD short could be coming out right now. I mean, the market has that huge move up. AMD's actually pulling right back into the 200 period moving average. So maybe we need to think about a long instead of a short. Like, I'm really thinking the short to begin with, and I don't want to be like offside on that and like just go short everything if it's going to be a long day. But I'm not sure it is going to be a day for the longs. I mean, if we're going to look at, for example, we can leave Tesla alone, but if we're going to look at the Qs, again, we just came into this area right there and rejected off of it. So, if we had a little bit of a longer look instead of just getting out quick, which was fine, I wanted to get out quick once we broke 49, it saved us with that move higher, but that could be a decent top trying to form upside right now. So I was thinking about that, and that might be something that winds up in the blotter very, very soon if we can get back up into like this 49.30, 49.40 area, and then use, some of these as our top. Bostic is speaking right now. That's 49.40 to be exact. I don't know what the Fed, he's talking more about AI and stuff like that. So I don't know. We've already talked about the Fed's use of AI, and they sort of said that they either need to use a little bit more of it, or I can't remember the talk the last couple of days, but they've been talking about AI for a minute there. So I think the short in the futures is legit, but I just wonder if we better off waiting for a little bit of a long. Like yesterday's short we had in Palantir and Walmart, which were fire in the booth, and today we're kind of not really seeing too much there. 134 maybe as a short for Palantir, but again, it's got to get going. So, shout out if you guys are on TikTok, man. Thank you so much. Put your comments, put everything in there, tweet it out or TikTok it out, however that works. Thank you to everybody for paying attention to us over on a new social media.
And also get your questions in.
Yeah,
we try to monitor as well.
Anything.
Like I've seen a couple questions in the chat. And I know Pan W is making some power moves. That was a great dip buy. I had to take another leg out on IBIT because it held the higher low again at this 37.9. So effectively, think of it this way: like 38.10, every 10 pennies or so, it's running into a level. So if it breaks 37.8, gotta watch out. 37.9, gotta watch out for 37.8. I would look to reload if it sets up another topping tail, but the fail will be, like right as the market was busting higher, Intel did this huge wick, and when the number came out, it is what it is. The number came out, popped to 44, was instantly back at almost at 43.5. It's now breaking the lows again and falling like an absolute rock. So this one looking pretty dead over on Intel. And by the way, NVIDIA now looking a little bit better. So there's a nice little topping tail setup here on NVIDIA. Yeah, this could be, it's now starting to set up. If we get in the other end of the trade, you've made a convincing high at 188.7. If it gets back over 188, we'll look to add the second short position.
I heard, just hearing that we are getting some more numbers coming out. Remember, we do have the start of the Supreme Court's opinions on these tariff cases, apparently starting today as well. So that could be something that sends this market one way or the other. I was looking I just said AMD, but maybe it's NVIDIA that also has that topping feel to it. So I actually went back in, and now we'll see if we can get a little bit of cash on this. We're bidding 87s here. Just to make a little bit back, we did go short again at 49. That was going to be our stop area. And sometimes we do take trades. I mean, I'm here every day to be as honest about trading as I can. And that is we get stopped out right there on that first move and, trying to be patient. And I know that for me, one of the things that I need to work on is exactly that, is to be a little bit more patient with the trades and let them build out first and then, work on the other part after. So we have the right direction, I feel like right now, but we have to wait to see if it is going to continue to be that case, right? So for right now, here goes the TQs. It's a nice move down. I am willing to bid a little bit more here in the 70s, but now that I see that's creeping up, let me take a 79, and then we'll see if that one can work out for us. But a little bit of a short action happening right now. I do like the short. I know you're short IBIT. I think that the market goes down. I think that Bitcoin can also, obviously retrace down with that there. But yeah, that's all that I'm looking at. Nothing else really hitting on the scanners. I keep on looking. Like I just talked about what I had on there. I have IBIT. I have SMCI. I didn't even look at Starbucks. Affirm ARM maybe as well. And then I don't know. So Starbucks. See, the thing is, I don't like to look at these scanners this early, to be honest with you, because they're just VWAP scanners. I thought
you meant the trade rate.
Oh, no. My bad. I didn't even look at the trade rate.
Right now, the trade rate is popping off silver.
Okay.
SLV has been the top. It's just an indicator on eSignal, because everyone's probably wondering, what the heck are you talking about, Neil? It's just think of it as the velocity of the prints on a given equity or ETF, whatever it might be. And silver is by far and away leading. You got the SPY, AMD, SoFi, Apple, all names that we've talked about. But high-host silver as it continues to climb. But let's go over to SIA. We've another update.
Yeah.
Just a quick update here, guys. Spot platinum has risen almost 4% and currently is trading 2151.5 per ounce.
Okay. Oh.
All right, thank you.
Back above VWAP here.
Yeah, look, Scott, I mean, I could put your chat up there right here. Like, I have no idea why it's getting so destroyed, SoFi. I mean, I just talked about that earlier. I think Sia's mic is still on.
The banks
thanks, Fabian.
The banks in general have been pulling back.
Yeah, and that's
the whole sector's been pulling back.
I know. So, like, I don't know. Like, so there it is, man, down in there 2.8%. I don't think there's necessarily anything wrong with the company. I mean, I thought let's look back. So maybe during the midday, I'm going to look back at their quarter because I'm involved in the name as well. So I don't want to see them getting hit the way they are. But you could see right here, obviously, as we...
You know what, though? I actually don't feel bad if SoFi starts moving with the bigger financial names. In some ways, if it starts following...
But they're not really, though, man.
No, I know they're not.
Yeah.
It's gonna move down a little bit more, but the XLF has been languishing a little bit. And we were talking about this yesterday. Maybe it was 2 days ago. It might have actually been Wednesday. Come on, chart. Patience. But you're pulling off the highs all the way back to where we were in November for the financial ETF. So if that's going to be weak and names like JP Morgan are going to get hit, well, SoFi is going to get hit probably worse. And I think that's what's happening. This technical breakdown, I think it could have some room to 17. That's the next big level. If you can hold on to that, it gets pretty good. But yeah, I just think it's an outsized move for them because the rest of the space is looking, I don't want to say incredibly weak, but starting to show some signs of weakness at least. Is what it is.
I want to buy more, but I got to do the research.
I'll be on the dip of Morgan Stanley before I'll be on the dip of SoFi. Almost 100%, but it always depends on the price action for sure. There was one more. It was Open Door that I was going to get back to very quickly. It's starting to hold above VWAP here. So now it's got a couple of higher lows, holds on to that 520. Now the next test would be in front of VWAP. So it has a chance to hold in front of VWAP. And if it can do that, then along into the breakout is going to be in play for me here. So Open Door doing its own thing. It wasn't perfect earnings, by the way. Just their guidance on revenue was actually, they're guiding lower on revenue, believe it or not. For a stock, it's up 18%. But it's whether or not it can take out the highs. If you're a meme stock, follow through needs to get through the highs. It's one thing if it can bounce VWAP and get to 560 for a scalp trade, but the bigger alpha is, you want this through the top and actually getting some short scared, which I'm not sure they are yet.
All right, yeah, Open Door was an interesting look. We had looked at Open Door and tried to figure that out on their earnings call. And, they did have a decent report and a little bit of a guide that I think was a little bit of a problem for many people. So, yeah, good on you, Open Door, but tough for traders for sure of that name there. But it's a nice move. One name that I was looking at there was Marvell here today. See if there's any sort of a kick up in this space right now. $79. No, it does not look like there's anything going on with Marvell right now. But so far, so good on the downside for some of these plays. We saw AMD potentially making that move lower. Let's have a look one more time at the DXY. I mean, there were some requests that we maybe have that even on our screen there, and we can have that up on. But yeah, a little bit of a fade there as the market goes to the upside, dollar coming back in. As you see this is a good actual sign for many of these multinationals. When you see Metas, and we just saw Google go to the upside as well, probably Apple. As a whole, Nasdaq goes higher, a little bit of a weaker dollar, right? We talked about the repatriating and all that kind of stuff. So that's a nice one, but now you're bouncing. So maybe the market could potentially get a little weaker here if the US dollar starts to bounce off to that high side. Sia did a good job there giving us a review of the price spot silver there as that's still moving around and going higher. We didn't check in on gold right now. Let's have a quick look over there. Gold upside up 1%. One thing I notice is the broader market is a talk that a lot of you want us to do a little bit more of. So as we were just talking and Neil mentioned about, hoping that SoFi, and I agree with them, we want the banks and SoFi to be recognized as like a top, one of the top banks. And so that when we're talking about Morgan Stanley and Citigroup and BAC actually developed a fund for venture capitalists today as well. So these 25 billion or something they're dropping into that. So that's the ish right now, yeah. So we'll see if they can get going there. MasterCard, Capital One was a name that I was involved in. So, that could be something to look at as well. Capital One, Charles Schwab, downside. I think I really like them for a brokerage, man. I mean, Robinhood and IBKR get hit all the time, but Schwab seems to be pretty consistent with that. Energy's been real hot as of late, right? I saw gas prices starting to inch up just a little bit now. So maybe the euphoria behind that could be potentially done. XOM, CVX, ConocoPhillips, I don't know why I stumbled on that name, Valero, these are just the energy spaces there trying to get a little lower today. So it looks like it's going to be a little bit of a mixed bag, although the Nasdaq is flattish, just now up 0.1. It's Google and Meta leading the charge to the upside, and Nvidia, Apple, and Softy. So it's kind of like, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So all the Mag 7 names are right here, and it's 4-3. 4 red, 3 green.
Have a look at retail. If you don't include Amazon in retail, there you've got Walmart down a couple of points, and you've got Costco.
Where's retail?
It's because Amazon's.
Oh yeah, retail trade, duh.
And look, of course, Amazon is retail. It's just the category that we like to think of Amazon as being in is like Mag 7 first and tech first. I mean, come on. When earnings come out, what do you consider?
Costco.
What do you think about during Amazon earnings? What is AWS doing? That's why I'm not thinking about retail. And we know that they are. They don't get enough credit, I don't think.
Well, their margins are not the greatest on retail.
Exactly.
Their retail numbers are huge.
Sometimes those categories get a bit, whatever. I don't want to talk too much trash about it. New position is going to be, it's not, I don't want to call it a chase, but I didn't get the entry off the 88 on NVIDIA, so I'm playing VWAP here. Giving it to the bar above VWAP is like 187.80. Open door, sorry to tell you, but if you're looking for that long, bouncing off the volume weighted average price, well, what it is not doing right now is holding the volume weighted average price. So this actually, it's threatening to break down the trend line. So if there's still a chance, this could still close holding VWAP, and then I would try to take the long for the first time on open door, but it's not really doing a good job holding this third test on the trend. And the other thing that's happening is IBIT here. Oh, that's right, we just had Michigan consumer sentiment. Let's quickly go to see it. We got happening now, and then Michigan sentiment just dropped as well.
Fresh numbers coming out here, guys. The Michigan 5-year inflation expectations actual number came out at 3.3, which is the same as the last time. Missed the forecast by 0.1%, which stood at 3.4. Michigan consumer expectations also came out at 56.6, previous number standing at 57, and forecasted at 56.6. Michigan consumer current conditions also came out today at 56.6. And the previous at 55.4, with a forecast of 58.3, missed by almost more than 2%. And coming to addressing Neil here, we were talking about Amazon. Just want to address that real quick, that Bath & Body Works has begun sales on Amazon as of this morning. And Amazon, as we know, it accounts for 47% of online beauty and personal care, where Sephora comes in second at 9% in the United States. CEO of Bath & Body Works has said launching our first authorized brand storefront on Amazon has allowed us to put ourselves in the path of the consumer. Currently, BBWI is up almost 1%, and Amazon is also up. Back to the guys.
Okay, that was a huge bit.
The U.S. Supreme Court just had a ruling there, and we went a little short there against that high and got stopped out 40 cents higher. They just ruled against the tariffs. So they have ruled against the tariffs. So upside right now. Let's see how far this one can go. We'll try a little bit, something about a National Emergency Act. But here we go. I mean, obviously, we're going to get a call from Donald, and he's going to figure out what's going on here. But looks like they're ruling against the tariffs, just hearing it in my ear. So let's wait to see what winds up happening now with the TQs. We got blown out to the top side there of that last trade. And
if you had a stop, the slippage on that was like an 830 number.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, literally, these are the TQs. So I mean, we were stopping at 40, basically 45.
Spiked.
We got 85s there. Nice spike higher there. We'll just wait. Let's let this settle down a little bit. We'll take a broader bid here, and then wait to see what winds up happening here with that Trump. Because I'm not sure it's like necessarily the greatest thing for the market if this is what's happening. But on the trade rate right now, we are starting to see some pickups. That's for sure. Mara, maybe there goes Bitcoin 67. So
a huge move.
Yeah, that's a big move.
My first thought was Walmart on that break.
Yeah, I was going to say maybe Costco or something.
That's probably good, but it's not really holding up. The thing is, Walmart was weak going into this.
It's now the
but I looked across
back.
the board. The second I heard that it was the ruling and it was against, I'm like, okay, well, VWAP breakout on
right
Walmart.
Back in.
But we're starting to come back in. If we lose VWAP, I don't want to sit here holding it to a support level. But this is supposed to be a VWAP breakout on that news. Hey, this is the one day that it could have happened, and then it actually did. So there you go.
Yes.
Obviously, they probably caught a lot of people, including the futures, off guard a little bit there. But there is only one name that I'm still thinking is a fade, and it's going to still be Intel, and that's because it still held 44. That big spike up held $44 almost exactly. And that would be that's like yesterday's low as well. So if this doesn't break above 44, that's at least a short setup that's still going to be available for me as it tries to come back up. So big news there.
Big news.
Big news.
Yeah, just waiting to see how this reflects. I mean, I don't know. I got to get out at some point if this continues to make the move down. I thought that I would try to buy this move higher instead of fading it right there, but it is coming back down in right now. We've seen moves happen like this, so I don't want to be too like jumping the gun and getting out so immediately here on that, but it does look like it wants to give it up just a bit here. But rules 6-3 against Trump. So the U.S. Supreme Court has ruled 6-3 against Trump on the global tariffs. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, we could take a look to see what's gold. I mean, I would think gold probably pulling back a little bit. Yes, so there that goes, as well as the whole market making a little bit of a dip dive here as well. Silver downside there, so coming in. We were waiting for 71.50. That might not be.
Look at UVX.
Yeah, I would.
UVXY dropped like $2.
Oh yeah.
Obviously, the VIX. That'd be a trading vehicle for us to look at the VIX. And okay, well, Open Doors headed to the upside. So in all of that. That's what happens. I got distracted by the news. I go over to, that's so frustrating. I go over to Walmart because that's where my brain went. My brain was like ruling 4, try that breakout above the volume weighted average price. That does not go. So it's right back into the lows. Can't hold on to the volume weighted average price. Look, if it ends up being significant, I would have thought you could retrace back into 125, but now everything's headed back to where it was.
Yep.
So I'm going to go back to the plan of short the pop on Intel, which that's so frustrating.
Man, the short was right.
If you literally just stick with the plan, that spike would have got me finally short on Intel. And I look over at IBIT, and that's coming right back in as well. So, gonna have to go back into patience mode, wait for this short to set up here. Hopefully one more time. Might not even get it. I might move down to VWAP here. A reversal is actually more bearish than it would have been earlier. So I'm going to move into VWAP and see if I can't get picked up and finally pick up Intel. And then Open Door, it's still gliding. We could still break out that 560, but the VWAP hold just got confirmed. And I'm going to jump into this trend. It's an easy out because if it breaks
short is still good.
If it breaks the trend line on Open Door, it's an easy out. Like I'd usually go short if it did this. So getting out if and when it breaks is going to be part of the play. But I want the long going into 560, not after it breaks.
Yeah, that's tough, man, because we were short, and then that breaks higher, and I'm like, okay, here we go, man, and this should be an upside move, and then it's like, nah, it's not upside move at all, it's downside move. So right now I was just gonna play it back to VWAP. And just try to hold and see. We don't have to have a big, huge position on here or anything like that. We just got to be patient and see if that move does not now make that higher play. This might not be a great thing. Like, I don't know if this unleashes Trump into a mad sort of tirade here. So I don't know what the market's going to do. So if we do break below VWAP, then let's just tap out of it and then basically move on to something else until we get a little more settling movement here on the futures. So that was a little bit of a dip down that obviously your boy was not expecting on that. And we were actually short to go into that name, so into that number. It wasn't even a number, just that ruling that we weren't necessarily expecting. But there it is. Now here goes the move even, yeah. So it's even going lower. That's too bad, man. We were short right there against the high of the day and then got blown. And then we went a little bit long, and now it looks like, not going to work out. These are not the right times to trade. I just thought it could have kept on going, but it doesn't look like it. So we take a shot. Hey, man, if you're not taking shots,
where news trading is talked about
Yeah.
and discussed as a strategy, as where you can learn what to and not to do and resources and how you can use them at the Trader TV Academy.
Oh, right,
well,
right,
I'm just going
right.
to drop the note. There's a lot of things that are in there, but hey, you are going to learn about trading off of the news as well. And there's only 4 days, 1, 2, 3, 4. That's Lou Gehrig. It's Lou Gehrig days until the Trader TV Live Academy goes live.
Right.
And look, it's February 24th. That's a Tuesday, not Monday. It is Tuesday, so rest up over the weekend. It is going to be there. And we waited patiently until it was what we were looking for. It's modernized. It's geared towards today's market. But the most important thing is it helps you navigate as the market is changing. It will be constantly updated. So we think we waited a long time for this to come out, and we're excited for it to finally happen. So keep your ear to the ground. Of course, there will be more, and we'll talk a lot about this next week as well. But 4 days away only. George Springer as well. Look, we're trying to hold. So there's the bounce on open door off of VWAP. If it can break this local high, then I think another add here as we go into the 560 top is going to be the play. If it breaks 560, I think there's room to the upside, but I'd rather be playing the long into the breakout. That way it's in the money as opposed to holding it on some kind of a dip. One more thing. We didn't really talk too much about energy names there. While all this was going on, Occidental, stick to the plan. While all this was happening, Oxy held a higher low. Oxy held VWAP. Oxy is also at the highs. Oh, that's so frustrating because like Bitcoin with the stop out, but then that was a good look. Bottoming tail candle, that's kind of the entry you look for. The bottoming tail on a VWAP, there's the VWAP hold, grab the long. Oxy up 1% and continue to go higher. Energy still looking good. See ya?
Yeah, just some comments here. It says that the ruling finds president exceeded his powers by imposing duties without clear authorization from Congress. And the Supreme Court does not address any eligibility for tariff refunds. That's all. Just back.
Okay, thanks, Sia, for that. Yeah, look, we've said that we were going to try to hold this thing, and now we're in the money finally on the TQs, but it still needs to go higher if we're going to make back that sort of jump loss that we had right there on the upside. So far so good as it's back in the pocket right now. I'm going to take out one more piece here in the high 50s if we're able to do that, as that's where we sort of just last stopped. I'm waiting actually at 56. There it is. So now we'll see if we can, really make some money on this trade and get back into it. So far so good. Here we go. We'll get out another piece here at 60s and then just wait to see now where we can go from here. But so far so good on this rebound of the tariff disaster, it looks like, for President Trump and his administration as they turn that tariff around. And now we'll see. And there's no talk again about refunds or anything like that, but it is it's a really nice move now. Thank you. All right. You never really want to average in too much into those trades, but we did have our out, and it does pop right back up to the upside. So now let's try to let it settle a bit, up and down. It's just like. So anyways, going short right there was a problem for us, but we got to find some winners, and it looks like we might have one right here, right now on that long. Now 70 cents in the money on this. Take out another piece here at 79, and now we'll wait to see if we get a 50 take, and that's basically the high that we had before. So if we can get something, fine, but that's a Supreme Court decision right now. We can see what's going on with EEM. This is the emerging markets fund. This is probably ripping right now, I would think. Right there, yeah, nice move there. Oh yeah, let's look at some Canadian
Apple's
look at Apple's probably going crazy. Lululemon going absolutely insane right now as well. That's a chicken dinner winner. Boom, up 3% for Lulu.
Nike might have the best spike.
Target. Bang! The money's coming in on Target right there. We like that one as that goes to the high side as well, man. Our retail plays definitely kicking right now, man. We got a lot of excitement back into this market here, and the market might not be so exciting. I mean, down and up, but right now some of these other names. Look at Amazon go boom in the night, like you mentioned. Google go boom in the night. That was already going boom, and then Apple was a look that Neil had just mentioned there. Yeah, buddy, let's go, man. We're really excited.
Nike's now up 2 points.
Yeah, that's okay. Yeah.
Well, no, that's after pulling back $1.50.
Yeah.
So Nike was up 4.
Lulu's up 7%, Lulu.
Yeah, this is insane. Nike, by the way, it's right back into the 50-period moving average, which is also going to be, right now it's also VWAP, but if it can hold this, there's room to 70 for Nike. So again, I was not expecting this ruling to actually happen today, not going to lie. I thought there was almost no chance, but we've got it. I think it's probably a good thing that you're not going to have any refunds. I think that would have been sort of disastrous for the budget, and people would not have taken that very, very well at all. The only thing that's frustrating is actually IBIT is putting in some lower highs. I'm not looking to re-enter until it's got to either topping tail wick or break this, like these higher lows. it's now got to break down underneath, or I'm just not going to be interested in going back into the short. The market is looking like a completely different beast. Open Door is doing its thing. It just bounced off VWAP another time, but looking for a bounce here in Nike to see if it can go. I feel like there's a follow-through trade. It should be in one of these. Oh, and the last one, Intel does not get back up to 44. Still haven't been able to get anywhere close to that level for the fade. So gonna have to move down a little bit here. For whatever reason, Intel does not seem to be following this market at all to the upside. What's NVIDIA doing? That's because NVIDIA is not doing anything. And again, even NVIDIA, that short came right back in. But you can't hold it. I'm not going to hold that $2 against me. It's just not going to happen.
All right, guys, as you can see, man, it's, nothing going on in Costco. We had a request there for Costco. Not much going on, but you could clearly, I've only traded one thing here today, and it's been red, and part of it was because of that reason right there. We make some of it back, but if it continues to melt down to that side, you can see it's pretty tough sometimes to trade when it's like you think the story's like, That's why you kind of want to trade with stop orders, but actually in this situation, I wish I didn't, because we're right back down to where we were short initially on this trade. But yeah, very, very difficult trading environment, I would say, right now. But if we want to look quickly at the broader stroke here, I mean, look at what the DXY did there. Not Tank City, but nice move downside there on the DXY as the oopsies, as the US dollar now, you know, being looked at again as, you know, this was supposed to be a bunch of trillions and trillions of dollars coming into the U.S. government, now in question, I guess, as the Supreme Court goes 6-3 against. So there it is, nice move back down in for the dollar. You can see the TLT, the Treasury, probably downside as well. So that's starting to move. VIX is expecting to spike, I would think, here as we, well, I mean, it moves down, but now we get that spike up right now. So we'll see what's going on exactly with the VIX right now. But yeah, like tough trading overall. Bitcoin was up 67.7, now back to 66.8 again right there. So the market just kind of, I think it feels like it's trying to just do the same thing again right now, just act like as if that didn't even happen. But this should still continue to be, like I was saying, the Mag 7, a lot of the big winners, and we can have a look quickly at the sector board and how much different it looks now. It was very, you know, red sort of focused in the past. Tesla almost getting back to green, so that's at 408 again. That would be a good buy level. We talked about that. Surprised that Walmart's still down as much as it is, but, you know, we just saw Target go to the upside. Walmart should try to follow that to some extent, I would think. The financials not really moving too much on that. Energy shouldn't really care. Maybe some of the utility names or commercial services. Nah, healthcare, not really. Producer manufacturing, we can see if these names move anywhere there. Remember the big, beautiful bill, that's not going to be affected. Shouldn't be anyways. I think the best thing to do now is like just kind of sit down. That's why we sort of cashed out there. We cashed out of more than half of that trade, and maybe think about now just reloading at VWAP and trying to play the right levels one more time instead of like panicking and, you know, hitting keys just because there's a number out. All right, let's go back over to Adara, see what she's up to, and then we'll think about averaging in potentially as we're back into VWAP here on the market.
Yeah, just Fed Bostic speaking here, saying any growth above about 1.8% suggests upward pressure on prices, and latest PCE reading is a long way from target of 2%. Also, that there is a risk that above target inflation will become the public's expectation.
There you go. And speaking of things that are right back, there goes IBIT. And the crazy thing about this is like the reload and the stop triggered instantly on IBIT. Like it didn't even register that, like you didn't even register a position. It's like both of these things showed up simultaneously. But this goes to the point of when there's an economic number. Sometimes you'll hear it say when there's an economic number, I'm not going to take the position on the other side of it. Well, in this particular case, we did know at 10 o'clock was a possibility. But the last two times can psych you out when nothing happens. So like the last two times, cancel orders and back off, and it's a nothing burger, and then you get psyched out. But now that we've broken back, look, the trend, guys can see it. The trend is broken underneath. I got to get short on IBIT again. So underneath the volume weighted average price, it just kind of goes back to what we were doing before. And it plays in both directions. Like yesterday, my best trade was literally a news-based reaction trade to the Netflix Warner Brothers in this particular case. So that's why I like jumping over to Walmart. But the key is, if it works, you got to let it work for you. Oh, super chat. MF Dangerous.
Yeah.
Was waiting for that news and went short silver when we called it out. Only trade today. Ooh. Thank you. See, that's the other side. Like if you're waiting for that news piece, like that's the thing, and then you're geared to say, well, this time it's going to come out, and you're locked and loaded, that's what it's all about.
Good. We bought that dip off view up. Hopefully some of you guys did. But I mean, for me, I don't have any green names today. I'm just struggling with the TQs here. Not struggling with it, but struggling with the price action. But we just bought view up, and I said, let's go back to, you know, regularly scheduled programming. So there it is, man. We bought it, and now we're nicely in the money here again. And we're right back to sort of where we were. We're still under where we were before getting blasted right there. But yeah, that was a good play. And you mentioned MF Dane there that you are going. Yeah, it's too bad because we are still waiting for that 71.50. I might as well just cancel that bid now on the Qs on silver because we might not get to that. What's up? See ya. I thought we were going to see ya.
Oh, maybe not.
I don't know. You tell me. No? Okay. We are not. All right. So, yeah, silver going upside right there. Maybe this is a buy zone for us. Let's just hold on. Let's see if now we can get to the upside here again for the futures, right? So, big trade alert happening on this side right now as the longs are starting to print out again. This is 70 cents in the money. We'll see if we can get these futures back to Greensville there. But nice move higher right now as we've made good money since that release. We just lost right as it was released, and then we went long, bought the dips, out, and now we get back into some highs. Let me take another piece out here in the 50s as we just bounced off 60 again. So yeah, maybe this is sort of the high for now until they get it all figured out. I prefer the long, but this is a news story that you know won't go away anytime soon. So
yeah, we have like one 15-minute candle that's gonna change things. So like I only want to be like if it's holding VWAP, great. Open door, this was a plan anyways, so it's holding higher lows. If you break the trend line, fine, fair enough, like whatever it might be. But you know, it'll be frustrating because like both in like Nvidia, that's actually still holding underneath the volume weighted average price. We got stopped there, and we could still confirm underneath. But I want to give it some time on the higher time frame. It's past 10 o'clock. On 10 o'clock, when you get to this time, I want to see things look good on a 15-minute chart as well. So if it starts to set up on the 15, that'll be a much better story. As far as open goes, I'll have a couple outs here going into the high, and then if it breaks the high, hold through and try to buy the dip. That'll be the plan of action. And then Occidental, because the energy names, like this was strong, and then the second we got that number, it's like, okay, well the market goes up and this comes down. It's back above the volume weighted average price. It still didn't get anywhere close to 50. The note, I like 50 for a support level because that's where it broke out and bounced yesterday. But ultimately, you know, it's not really anywhere near that price. If it's going to hold the top end of the range, I would want to play this similar to open. Find an uptrend that I can play into the volume weight, into the high of the day instead of taking the breakout. So that will be the plan of action for me. Just go back to things that hopefully are, you know, doing what they were before, where it doesn't have to be an alteration of the plan.
yeah, man, for sure. All right, let's look at what Apple's doing. Yeah, Apple's trying to, okay, let's go, guys. Let's go. Right now we're at 64s. Can we get 64? Let's see if we get N64. Nintendo, no, does not get it. All right, let me just put the offer there at 58 and cancel my 64s. We'll take the 58. Here, we just talked about Nintendo. Let's go see what's going on in Japan right now. NTDOY, of course, the name over here on the sheets of pink. FXI as well could be moving on this, although the tariffs obviously affecting China just as much as those emerging markets as well. We could, you know, check out many different ETFs, but there's the move higher right there. There's the 10 o'clock Supreme Court boom on FX. Let's go. Could we get back to green right here? Maybe we can as this market trying to get going. We're now waiting for $50 to come in here on the TQQ. So hopefully that can come in. I've only traded this today, so let's get going here and see if this is a long or not. See if we can hold. My offer's at 50, and then we'll see if we can get going because, like I said before, we are near a spot that, you know, we could see some resistance, but everything's changed now. I mean, this is a different world today than it was yesterday. It's a different world now than it was 25 minutes ago. So, you know, still waiting in our ear to hear if the president or anybody's coming out there about that decision. But for right now, all is well in futures land as we almost have $1 back on this one and pretty much made everything back now that what we lost and looking to top off right here as we continue to go a little bit higher. And Yeah, we're back, baby. This is what we're doing, man. We say this all the time. You got to take advantage of moves, but at the same time, make sure you're responsible with it. So, all right, Sia, now it's time for me to throw over to Miss Sia.
Yeah, right here. The ruling did not mention how the government would go about returning billions of dollars to the importers. So one of the issues that has to still be addressed is the refunds and how the court has said nothing today about whether and if the government should go about returning billions of dollars that it has collected from all these importers.
Ooh, yeah, I think that's the bigger story. Ultimately, how that will play out, because you also have to consider, like this was mentioned a while ago, that there are alternative methods to at the president's disposal to enact tariffs. So he can probably be able to put a bunch of them back on through other means, but then what happens to all the collections before? Because that could wreak havoc with the budget, and then that would affect bond market, and yeah, you could have a bit of a cascade effect there. So maybe more important things happen, but the market doesn't seem to care about it right now. For the first time, we just got into VWAP on Intel. So played it to the VWAP. It's lower highs. Again, this is just, it's relatively weak as far as I'm concerned. Nothing has really changed there. Nike's holding VWAP, and Open is struggling at the high of the day is the best way to put it. So Open's at the high, but it's not really punching through. So I got one more offer into that high of the day, and then we're going to hold through in the break. Look for, as long as VWAP holds, that's good, but I am also following this trend line up. If it breaks the trend line, I do want to get out, because it would be an all-day trend at this point. But if you look at what's going on, a couple of things that we haven't covered yet. I've seen a lot of Micron in the chat. This is trying to go back higher, but it's holding that key 420 level that we've seen the last couple of days. Like, it's been resistance for a couple of days, so resistance, support. So that's starting to look a little bit constructive. I know I'm looking at, probably the only one looking at a chip name, but I'm also looking at the only one that is weak. The rest of them are all strong, trust me, and they're looking pretty good. Let's go to Sia.
An update on the Meta lawsuit in LA. Some unsealed documents in New Mexico, also the case against Meta surrounding certain privacy concerns, have shown that internal messages containing certain employees have mentioned 7.5 child sexual abuse material reports that are not being disclosed after Messenger made the move to encryption. And also, Apple is being accused of not doing enough to prevent sexual abuse material, which has come from West Virginia. Zuckerberg has also defended his decision-making when he was questioned in the courtroom on Wednesday in LA about allowing Instagram beauty filters, and if the company cares more about revenue generation than child mental health. Also, a document that has been revealed from 2019 has said that we will never find all the potential harm that we do today on Messenger when our security systems can see messages themselves. Currently, Meta is up 1.56% and Amazon up 2%.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's part of the problem and we talked about it, why you may not, want to be in some of these names. And that is like a Meta or anything like that because of those worries. But they're always going to be there, and I think they've been fighting with that for a minute. And sometimes you don't get good deals on stock unless, there's reasons for it to go down. I mean, if every story was positive all the time, then, such whooshes down wouldn't be happening. But you're down right now, and this story has been here for a minute. You're down just from its, IPO, just from its recent highs. Right there, you're down, it's only 4%. I don't know if that's right. 740, no, that's not. 10% downside, at least, right there to the downside. So, yeah, a little bit, get out of here, ruler. You're not working. So there's that play there. Okay, here we go. Now the TQs are finally making a move higher. We do want to make, I have an offer at 93s. We'll see if we can get that. Now we took another 75. Hopefully it can continue to go a little bit higher. I did want to check in on Rate Cut Central now and see what's going on over there. All right, well, now you are definitely not getting a rate cut, it looks like, in March, but it has moved into April. Is getting a little bit better there. You got 18% of a chance there in April for a rate cut, and then we start this is where the cuts really look like they're going to happen, where you get almost 50-50, a little bit more to the downside right now for potential rate cut of a quarter point is half, and then 10% of the population believes we could get 2. That would be awesome if we got 50 basis points in one shot. We haven't necessarily seen that. And then back into December, it's looking like we could get 75 basis points or so is what we're looking at by year end. So right now you're at 350, 375. So there's actually some descending down to 0, greater than 0 of a chance of no cuts at all. But anyways, there it is. 11% says almost a full point. But let's just figure it out. That goes all the way down to December, man. So many things are going to change before December comes. But for March, we are now less than a month away, and it doesn't look like it's going to be an overly excited opportunity there for futures for rate cuts. So that's what that is. Look, we just fall off again off of 80s. So
VIX is holding underneath the bottom, though.
Yeah.
Like the VIX obviously it was a big turn in the market just there. Like you were holding over that big 21 we were talking about. Yeah, well, reversal, but it's holding underneath the lows. So that's like you're getting the indication that we're still overall bullish in that sense. But then there's that 25,000 in the Nasdaq that we're holding underneath. Just going to quickly go back to Intel at the lows yet. The other thing that's going on, I just realized, of course, Intel is about to put in its first green candle of the day, which is a get out of the short kind of situation. So in 1 minute, it's almost certainly closing green at this particular point. So I'm going to be jumping out of this thing if we get a green, because that's a trend reverse, an all-day trend reverse for sure. Adam James abroad just sent a super chat, so let's get that one up there. Adam, still abroad. I don't know when you're coming back. The Q's Magic 608 failed to break 3 times in a row. That'll be, well, I'm looking at the Nasdaq future, but good point. Yeah, that 608 level, there's that top. You're talking the 25,000 level over there on the Nasdaq if you're looking at the actual futures. Let's go to Sia one more time, again.
Yeah, I'm seeing right here, small furniture retailers are still facing existential tariff threats. As we know it, furniture importers were facing steep import duties, and compounding this issue, it's a constant threat of uncertainty plaguing the industry. This is a statement from CEO of the Home Furnishings Association, Peter Theron. The 25% duty that was assigned on certain furniture imports was supposed to rise to 50% this January. But at the end of December, the plan was pushed back to 2027. So it's also become common over the past year for US President Donald Trump to threaten new tariffs on various imports that were never end up being enacted.
Apparently, Trump is saying right now that it's a disgrace. The Supreme Court is a disgrace on that decision, calling it a disgrace, saying that he also has a backup plan. So get ready for the backup plan to be in full effect. So we're going to hear whatever that is coming up very, very soon, probably some sort of executive power or something that we're going to use here. And that should send... I don't know which way that's going to send the market. I mean, tariffs, we've already seen it. I'm guessing down too. I mean, the market did shoot up there on that discussion of the tariff and the decision by the Supreme Court to shut it down 6-3 against
But that's if he actually comes out with a further statement.
Yeah. All he said is that it's a disgrace, and that he has.
Just ranting right now.
Well, he says he has another plan. So yeah, whenever that plan is, then we got to assess what that is and how that affects the market.
We might not hear that today.
No, I don't. I mean, I have no idea. I think he's just speaking off the cuff right now. I don't know if there's any planned statements, but now he'll just go off anyways. And once he's in front of the media, there's no stopping this man. This is the guy that turns 20-minute speeches into an hour 20, right? So hopefully they can win as the United States government, and that would hopefully, affect the market in an up way. But for right now, kind of flat, not doing anything, and the market is very, very sideways.
Oh, good point from Mr. Logman here.
Yeah, there always is.
Two carrier strike groups in the Persian Gulf and largest military buildup since Iraq. VIX high until tensions unwind. Yeah, they sent the Armada in, and that's what'll get lost here. Like, it looks imminent that you were going to have action in Iraq, and that it's going to be significant. It's almost a certainty. And you can't lose sight of that. I know obviously this Supreme Court thing's a big deal, and that's what we're reacting to right now. But you go back to that, and that could have that VIX spiking again. So I'm going to follow the rule here. Like it's a reversal candle on the 15-minute. Doesn't mean I'm going long, but it does mean I'm getting out. Let's go to SIA one more time.
Yeah, right over here, I'm seeing the Supreme Court saying was acknowledged at oral argument. The refund process is likely going to be a mess. And I'm also seeing U.S. President Donald Trump saying, I have a backup plan for tariffs after the ruling. And he's also said that the Supreme Court's ruling on tariffs is a disgrace.
Yep. Thank you, Sia. Yeah, we covered that a couple minutes ago, but that's there it is, man. There's the official report from Sia. Thank you, Sia, for doing all of that. I still, honestly, man, if we break below this 80, we just want to get out. So I'm just going to hold it. We're out of, probably much only have about 25% left of this. We started to break below, and we just started getting out recently right into there on the way down. I'm not going to average in. Our stop is where our stop is. If it comes back into 49, fine. I'm not going to take it. If it wants to go lower, we're just going to have to stop out. So we're able to buy, and then again, stopped out on the way up. Nothing we can do there. Boom, 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 as we go. So, yeah, I'm just going to only stick with this one stock so far today. The other name we have is silver, and unfortunately, that's kind of just doing its own thing right now. Don't really see a trade here as it's trying to build up. If anything, we said we like the long on silver today, so 72.50. If that does play, maybe we get some sort of a push through on that. I can go check in IBIT because it's back to 67,000. This has been dancing around a little bit, potentially at VWAP. Yeah, so there's VWAP there. There's a little bit of a breakdown into 38 bucks. So losing VWAP, maybe the market loses with it as crypto now starting to go to the downside. Wouldn't be surprised if the futures follow that move as well. Obviously, open door moving around, you're already in that one. But yeah, I've only traded one name today, and it's been a red one. So we're just going to hold on. It's small. It's in the pocket. We're not losing big on it or anything like that. But for right now, the TQ is just kind of figuring itself out, and going to wait in that and just wait for something to happen. I mean, we talked about gold and silver not doing much right now. Tesla was a 408 dip buy opportunity for me. Should have made that. We talked about that a couple times. Like that 407 was just was probably the best, right there. I mean, it doesn't take it's not rocket science to see that, but that comes back in. I think that could be a buy. Let's just hold on to the futures and see what winds up happening for this trade. And if we get back up to 49, we'll take it out. Up to 50, we'll take it out. And then we'll have to wait for a break higher. I still think this could be a pretty green day for the overall market. It just needs to digest this information. And with a lot of these companies now, this should increase if they don't have to pay a tariff. I mean, this should increase margins, and this should really, get the market going back there to the upside and quell some of those fears. But, who knows? Lululemon, Target, Walmart, some of these names continue to go. Nike over there.
We're heading back in, but you have to try to follow rules and risk to reward at the end of the day. Because I've traded like 6 stocks today, 3 green. But the important thing, I think, is if I'm taking a breakout, there's your prior bar, there's your hold underneath. Only trying to get that 67 and only trying to give it underneath that prior bar. Once we lose it, fine. But then I'm also not, when it's at like 30, 40 cents in the money, if I'm risking 50, I'm not scalping any out. The play is to go back to the highs. So if we're not breaking 67.5, I'm not taking anything out until you get there. And again, like Sean said, try to keep it into the pocket. Yesterday was a similar morning until it was that Netflix news in the middle of the day. That one, you get one good one that does go to your plan, makes up for everything. It did yesterday. I'm not saying you always find an opportunity like that, but you always want to put yourself in a position where you can have one trade be able to make up for multiple losses. At least that's how I'm looking at it. But Open Door did get to the high of the day, but as I say, in terms of following rules, it could break this trend line coming back in. So it's just bounced again. So once it confirms that we're still holding the trend line, I'm going to reload it. But if we lose the trend line, I'm out of this stock. It still has yet to make the actual breakout of the high. And let's go right back over to Sia. Busy day for Sia, doing a fantastic job at the desk.
Absolutely. The UK government commenting here, we will work with the US administration to understand how the ruling will affect tariffs for the UK and the rest of the world.
Okay. All right. So yeah, good job there. 3 green, 3 red for my guy here. Put it in the chat. If we can get a chat up, let's go red or green on the day for you guys, as this has been a big market moving day. I like to see how people have traded it. Are you staying out of it? Are you? That might be 3 options: red, green, or watching. How about that? Right now, I'm red and watching right now. So we'll be position pending on this one. We can still we just need to get to 50. So if it can come up to there, then today will be what today is right there. Ooh, good. A lot of greens, a lot of greens, a lot of greens. Yeah, we'll try to get a poll up there, and we'll ask you guys what's going over there. Wow, Bitcoin down over 20% this year right now. You over there, Fabian?
But the important thing to keep in mind too is, like, it's 10:30.
Yeah, it's still,
and someone's like, well,
early.
you know, you go look back at your plans and this and that. You have to keep in mind, like, your plan of action is in a certain market circumstance, right? And ultimately, when you have a big number, that's going to change sentiment. And you have to go back to, like, what your setups and what your plans actually are. And the ones that are still solid, you go back over to those. And the ones that have been blown up and look completely different and you're in a different environment, then you got to break away from them. So I think that's always got to be part of it. And then also, too, like, I always sort of stress this, at the end of the day, all that really matters is what do you make relative to your losses. When you have a good win, what is that relative to what you lose? And sort of if you can make sure you manage that, then ultimately you can be consistent and you can be profitable.
And on that note, I got to give big congratulations. My guy over here, Joe. Shout out to Joe, man. This guy leading the way today. Big trades, Joe. Can't wait to hear about them on the Midday show. Congratulations, Joe, killing it right now. Could be P&L number 1 on the month, but I don't want to jinx it. So good job, Joe. Okay, watch out for the TQs right here. They're finally starting to go. So let's wait to see what winds up happening here with the TQQs. Nice little bounce up higher. Part of me, shout out to A Boogie with a hoodie, is thinking about getting out some now, but want to be patient. Like Neil mentioned there, man, it's only 440. Hey, what's up? 1040. I'm already in weekend mode. 1040 right now. So we're going to wait to see what winds up happening with this trade as we get going there. Fed's Bostic talking about the GDP growth number. We did see that come in today at 1.8, and then Trump apparently, wish I would have known about this earlier. Neil mentioned it to me too. He tweeted that out well before the number was even released. 5-0, right? Yeah,
15 minutes
an hour before the number was released, he's like, oh, the number will be 2 points lighter than it should be because of the Democratic shutdown.
And for everyone out there,
and that's exactly what it was.
Oh, so for everyone out there, he actually technically didn't break any rules when the way he said it, because he didn't say, because I have a pretty, I mean, he probably could know the number before, but he didn't say GDP is going to come out at 1.4%. Like, he didn't say that.
Right.
But the manner in which he criticized the Democrats made it obvious that it was going to come out around that range if you read between the lines. So I don't think he broke any rules with that one. And what I'm getting at is maybe the next time every single time there's a big economics number, just keep an eye on the president's truth page.
We just get,
and maybe we should react to it. Let's go back over to Sia at the desk.
I have 2 things to mention here. Breaking news from the Supreme Court of the United States has officially ruled that President Donald Trump's tariffs are illegal in a 6-3 ruling. The U.S. now faces $150 billion plus potential tariff refunds. And the U.S. Supreme Court decision on tariffs reinforces Canada's position that the IEEPA tariffs imposed by U.S. are unjustified. This is a government statement.
Okay, thank you, Sia. Yeah, and Sia messaged me about, always come in, Sia. Any news story that you have, please come in. You know, Neil and I just sort of spit out things all the time, so it's great to have you come in there and let us know what you're reading too. All right, this is not really, I was gonna ask if you guys are red or green, but this is just as good. So will the trading session be red or green? I'm going to stay with green. I mean, I think this is good news for the overall market, but I do understand that there's going to be, you know, some headwinds and, you know, not the whole market. I mean, the people of the United States, I understand this is going to kind of suck because he's now going to say that whatever that, was he supposed to write, he was going to write, what, $1,000 checks or something like that to everybody and distribute some of that tariff money.
That's now gone.
I'm guessing that that's going to hurt the market a little bit there because we saw what happened during meme crazy days, and that was that you know, a lot of the money that was distributed during COVID went into options, went into Robinhood type trading. You know, we saw Bitcoin moving. You know what? I'm going to take a piece out right here because this is now 3 times we've ripped into the 70s and we've retraced off of that. So, you know, we got to be very, very careful on that for it. But I don't know if, what's up, Jay Bronson? You're saying that the president never said he was giving out any checks. So I don't know. I thought that there was, unless you're talking about something else. I can't find your chat now because it's gone too much up.
I want to say it was definitely mentioned at some point.
Then I saw that someone said, yeah, because Trump's always lying.
Yeah,
so
whether or not it was ever something that was firm.
Political statement.
Like I mean, I think the accounts for youth was something that got more explicit.
Yeah, he did mention it.
But he did mention that there could be a potential payout. I don't know that it was ever a firm number or that it was going to happen, but it was certainly thrown out there in the ether. That much for sure. Very quickly.
Oh, he didn't say anything about, okay, he's saying the 2K.
Mentioned.
Maybe I threw out the $2,000. I don't know.
No,
the thing is, I wonder what kind of
it
money.
got said at some point.
500. I mean, any kind of a number I think would be nice.
And then, you know,
I don't know. We're not getting anything in Canada.
It goes right into. Look, if that did happen, you start thinking about back for COVID, like the kind of pump that it would have been.
That's what I was saying. Like that literally, we had stocks go from like zero. Like look at Carvana. Carvana was $2 or $3, shot up. You saw AMC, GME, every like Russell stock basically was going off. But
I think that would be different.
I do not mean. I see everybody in the chat. I mean, this is a great talk. I mean, great. Let's keep going. I should be more political. No. It's whether or not you believed him or not. I don't know. I think I'm just talking, and we try to be, not on one aisle or the other here. I'm just trying to say that I'm trying to think about like where the. Let's go. I'm at 93.
It's the repercussions in the market.
Yeah, exactly. It's the repercussions in the market and what that could possibly mean. As if I'm at 93, this thing stops at 92. No more. There's $1 right there as we go back into Positiveville right now. Obviously, for this trade, we need it to go a little bit higher. As I said, breaking through 50 will get us to where we need to go, but that's a good out. I obviously wish we had held the ball there, but I can't be hating on the decision to get out right there. And all of this was fine too because the move came back in. The only thing I should be hating is not my outs, but should be maybe have refreshed that VWAP trade when it fell back in. We could have got a little bit more there. But I was saying to you guys, even like I'm not buying that dip because uncertainty hits the market, and when that happens, it is, up to you what to do, but I think that really throws off a lot of the different strategies that we would have had, right? I mean, all of a sudden, VWAP might not mean anything when there's news flying everywhere, Okay, what the hell's wrong with XLF chart? Oh, there must be a bad print at the end of the day. Okay, XLF.am. Oh yeah, it must be, okay. That's why my silver chart wasn't working. So see if I go over, there's something happening here at the end of the day already. So there's some sort of a print that has a bad tick that's giving me all these lines down there. But I wanted to see if the financials were doing anything. It doesn't look like it. XBI, we can have a quick look at the biotech space. Yes, futures, here we go. Yeah, all right, everything on Amex is doing this. So there's the move to flush down at 10 o'clock. As, again, a lot of these makers, Eli Lilly and all that had to move back in. They opened up some big shops, big factories in the United States just to sort of avoid tariffs and things like that and play nice with the president. So I wonder if some of those stocks getting hit back to the downside, but I still think it's going to play. See, like, there you go. We talked about Target was up to 119 and we were celebrating it. We've already gotten out of Target anyways, what we wanted to at this level, hoping for a higher move, but that's pulled back. We celebrated Lululemon's move higher. I know you were on Nike, but they're all kind of the same. There's Lululemon, 192 fading right back in again. So yeah, man, the market's just got to decide what it wants to do now at these levels. And, some of the retail names and the winners that we thought were going to pan out, apparently giving much back.
When you think, thinking on it a second time, Walmart not as affected by the tariffs as some of the other names.
Right.
When you really think about it. Like, that was one of the reasons why they were so strong in the first place. So you might actually see continued weakness in Walmart relative to the overall market. Two things are happening. Open is bouncing. So an earnings name, which is up 17%, I'm going to get this out of the way for Open Door. There's also room. I still think there's room to the 50 period on the daily after mixed earnings for Open Door and not too much has changed. But it did break the trend line, so I got out. Yes, that's going to be at VWAP, but it ultimately didn't matter. Like the stop went in, you broke underneath here, the stop was at break even on the rest, but Open Door could still get back to that high. If we can hold the volume weighted average price again, I might take a shot. But in that market move up, Intel broke an all-day trend. So for whatever reason, I couldn't find a story here for Intel, but it's losing 3 points today when there wasn't that much action in the chip name specifically, outside of the fact that the market was falling a bit. So almost every single morning, we've been seeing this. At some point, we had this heavy drop. I mean, even here, when it had an up day, you still had a good 2% drop at the open, another drop and pop, drop and pop. This would be a longer one, but on the 15, it finally showed a bit of a reversal pattern in here. So it jumped out of the short and now reversed into the long here. On Intel, as the market's going higher, and even one of the weakest stocks that's going to be out there is starting to show some signs of strength. Sia, what do you got for us? Oh, it's Sector Watch.
Oh, okay.
Here, there's a lot's happening. There's a lot that's not happening, but we're going to focus on what's going on currently. First of all, talking about electric tech, LMT Lockheed Martin trading negative 0.57% after Germany and France are in talks to abandon the joint fighter jet project, FCAS, and Germany is considering a more U.S.-based fighter jets. In finance, I want to talk about BX, Blackstone, down 1.69%. It's bid to acquire Volkswagen's Everland unit, which is valued between 5 to 6 billion euros. That is over 6 billion USD. And BX is seeking a majority stake while Volkswagen will retain a minority share. Also talking about Tesla, trading flat right now, but Tesla, as we know it, recently avoided a license suspension in California by removing the autopilot from state marketing, which resolves a regulatory probe. Moving on to Alphabet, Google, currently trading up 3.65%, is facing a 14-count indictment over Pixel Tensor trader secrets. Federal prosecutors have unsealed a 14-count indictment that is alleging that two former Google engineers and one of their husbands has conspired to steal trade secrets to the company's Tensor processor used in Pixel phones. And the three defendants have now been arrested and as of Thursday and made initial appearances in court in San Jose, California. This is coming from the Justice Department.
Right,
it's kind of a funky story, that one. One of the dudes was literally in the Iranian army before, and it was like him, his girlfriend, and like one other person. But corporate espionage is a real thing.
Yes.
Just
oops.
More tell about that.
I was going to. Well, I can't ask him about it because they ain't around no more.
But that's my. That was actually. I'm not really making this up.
I got kicked off.
One of the things that was considered to be the downfall of Nortel, in addition to getting caught by the Chinese and getting caught by the competitors, was potentially losing some secrets overseas. But that's on them. At the time, and it's serious. Alphabet obviously has a pretty solid moat around it. This is not going to affect them. They're breaking out. They were already breaking out. They held that 300 pretty good. This is breaking that trend, and ultimately, valuation good. Maybe not as good as it was before, but it's still pretty solid relative to the rest of the Mag 7. But the one that we talked about earlier that might be even better if they can beat again next Q is Meta has recovered to its 50 period. There's not a red candle in Meta this morning. And why I think that's important is it's held pretty steady even through this big shocker, because obviously we weren't necessarily expecting this time that we were going to get the Supreme Court decision. So it did cause crazy volatility back and forth, but there were some names that were, like off the bat, Meta was already strong. It was going up anyways. It broke out, and then it just continued that trend of action. So Meta looking like one of the better Mag 7 names out here today. We do have a super chat from Darth.
Oh, good.
Loqueter?
Darth what?
Darth Loqueter.
Okay.
I feel like, if
Darth.
I should probably be saying that right, but I'm not. This news might help buyers grind through all the market-wide sellers at the ES 69 hundo, going long SPX and waiting for the shorts to get squeezed. Well, that 7,000 mark, right? Like we actually got through 69 this week, but we couldn't get through the quarter mark. And sometimes like that matters. Like you're not really breaking through till you get a little bit more significantly past, because that top is the same as a weekly high, and then it's like gap to the 7,000 range, which has been a bit of a problem on the ES. Specifically, all the biggest drops have come off of the. Well, okay, maybe not this one. It was a big drop off 69, but look at this drop off 7,000. Look at that drop off 7,000 here as well. So I think that's the bigger level to worry about. Got to clear the quarters first. But good luck. The market is trending to the upside. No question about it.
Must be behind a little bit here. I'm watching.
There's an IPO apparently as well.
This is Team Canada right here going. So.
Oh shoot! That's
first V Finland right here. The ladies were winning by 1 goal with 2 minutes left. Right here, 0-0 right now.
By the way,
13 minutes in.
Yesterday, you were gone in the afternoon. So we have the game up. Look, I'm going to have the game up on a side screen as we're watching it.
Look at these futures.
Joe literally said, as it was 1-0 with minutes left, I messaged him like, man.
2 minutes.
2 minutes. No, at this time it was about 3 or 4 minutes left in the game. And I was like, man, the U.S. does look better than us on the ice. He's like, yeah, it's not even close. I think they're going to beat us 2-1. And that was 1 minute before they scored the game-tying goal. Thanks, Joe.
Yeah, exactly. I had Canada plus 1.5, so it actually wound up working out for me. But yeah, very, very disappointing. But you know what, man? I mean, this market, and I just said, man, thank you to everybody in the chat that stuck with your boy, because there it goes, man. There goes the TQs. I was talking about waiting to hold this one out for the long. So as I said, man, let's unite traders and take this one to the bank here today. But remember, we're going to go to C in a minute, and we're going to come back and figure out what's for lunch. We are right at this top. Remember, I highlighted this and said, you know, we got to see what happens up and around here. So we do take an out right here, right now. We still hold on to about 20% so far for that. Sharif, they said no to those tariffs. Yeah, you heard about it. Okay. So there it goes, man. Now the Nasdaq up 1%, and we're long the TQQs right now. Good trading so far here today. Yeah, it could be better. Thank you, Diamond Hand Katina. Oh, we have the thing for that right there. No, it's just a trade, man, and this is what we try to do best around here. Let's go back over. We got someone else that's doing the best for us here as well. It's Sia with her Money Talks.
Sorry, before I head into that, just a really quick update. Goldman Sachs speaking, saying Supreme Court ruling will not end tariffs and is expecting Trump administration to use administrative legal framework.
Okay, thank you for that one on, Sia, did I say Adara? Yeah, thank you so much, Sia, for that one.
I think it's the highest compliment when, muscle memory is going to be a part of it, but like it's the highest compliment that it's so seamless. Okay. Like I do it all the time. I'll be like, oh my goodness, thank you, Adara, when he's in the job.
Here we go, thank you, Adara.
It's good. And shout out to Sia for that. Oh, by the way, there is, I know we haven't covered anything in the small cap land, but there is a halt, and I'm not touching it because it doesn't do any volume. And I'm just going to caution anybody, if you trade something that by 11 o'clock has done 450,000 shares of volume, then hopefully you have a good strategy for it. Sharif will probably be looking at BIA, or whatever this thing is, BIYA, BIA International Group. I don't want to be stereotypical, but watch out, because if that's like one of those Chinese ADRs and small cappers, usually they don't end too well. But good luck so far. Probably not following what the market is doing, but there are small cappers going to the upside. And when the trend broke in open door, there it is gone. So I wasn't looking short, but that's now starting to give it up a little bit. So going opposite of what the market is doing. Sorry, Eric Jackson.
Yeah, and let's go figure out what's for lunch here. I don't know how the salmon was yesterday. I wasn't here, but it was pretty good.
No, it had that pesto sauce.
Oh, the pesto. Okay, the green. Yeah.
That's not my cup of tea, really.
I didn't mind it last time, but it doesn't look appetizing when it has that on it. But today we have a flag of the Commonwealth. We've got the UK. We're going to figure out what that means. Last time it was here, it was shepherd's pie, and today
it's not.
It does not say shepherd's pie. It says beef pot pie, and we figured out that shepherd's pot pie was lamb, right? So now it's beef pot pie, seasoned veg, gravy, and chef's choice salad. Not super exciting for me, but that's what's for lunch. It should probably be okay. I mean, pot pie is aight right there, but you're not going to be able to wipe the smile off my face, man. I mean, this has been a great trading day. Really excited. I'm glad you guys have been here with us to be able to see the trials and tribulations of trading the Nasdaq, of trading Open Door, of trading IBIT, all these names. I think Neil said he was in 6 or 7 names today. I've only been in 1, and we just want to thank you. It just goes to show, like, it's not the results of the trading. It's sort of what we do around here that really matters. And we want to thank everybody for watching. Hit the like, hit the subscribe. We are now 4 days away from the Trader TV Live Academy dropping. So that'll be on Tuesday. Not really sure why it's not Monday, but it's going to be Tuesday. So we'll talk about it all throughout, well, today's Friday already.
That is a good question.
We'll talk about it again on Monday to remind you guys you can go in there. It's all about our journey, how we learned, the systems that we used, all 5 of us right here, right now, and then plus Adara, 6 of us, Obi included 7. And every single trader you've ever seen on the show has used something very similar to what we are planning, or what is already scheduled to release for you guys in the Academy.
You can't do Monday because that's what everybody's expecting.
Right, yeah. So many people are expecting that.
You have to subvert expectations sometimes because
Google
that worked out so well for everybody.
Well, there's another day to remind you guys as well.
Ultimately, it doesn't matter. It is going to be on Tuesday.
Yes, Americans
and lots
can
of
use
questions.
it. Yes,
lots of questions will get asked. American, U.S.
Open for all residents. Open. Oh, and it's also open for aliens. So I want to say thank you to Barack Obama for basically giving President Trump. Now, you don't know about this, Sia? Come on, man. All right, this is all the rage right now. So Barack Obama. Sia, you're the news. You got to read up on this, Sia, immediately, please. This is bigger than
this. I just thought an alien in Moroccan law is not something I'd like to report right now with the market.
Well, yeah, I don't know. It has nothing to do with the market, that's for sure. But if aliens did land, I wonder what that would do for the market. But apparently, Barack came out in an interview and said that there is information about there being aliens. And then Donald Trump yesterday, or a couple days ago, said that now he feels like he basically has the green light now to go out. And he's going to prepare some documents to talk about alien life form.
I'm of the dark forest theory.
So let's get ready to rock, man. I'm ready.
The dark forest theory to me is the most logical thing when it comes to aliens. Why? Basically, it's of the mind that
I have no idea
usually
what that is.
people are hostile. We know we're hostile. And we know imagine what do we think of ants? What do we think of lower primates? We don't think too much of beings that are underneath us technologically and mentally.
Right.
So if if someone could visit us, that would be them versus us. What do you think they would think of us? So if you know that that's a threat, why would you're going to be keeping to yourself. So there's this whole theory out there that if there are aliens, most of them are probably hiding because they recognize that it makes the most sense to do so because super advanced.
Yeah, they're hiding right now.
Could mess you up. Anyways,
my wife is so amazing. She must be an alien.
Watch the 3-Body Problem or read it. It's a pretty good book. But look, it's almost 11 o'clock. Everything is blasting higher. I jumped out. I have to adhere to at least one thing. I still think if you are still red today, like a stock, and hasn't come all the way back, you still kind of stink. Right? Like market's up 1%, the ES is up 0.6, or the Nasdaq is up 1%, the ES is up 0.6. When I say the market, I should be referring to the SPY mostly. So anything that's still hanging underneath is still pretty valid for a weak name, and to me that applies to Intel. So even though it did break trend, I'm out when it gets to resistance, and then sort of move on to the next. And if you look at what's going on, like there's some places where, hey, maybe we're not doing as good.
VWAP.
JP Morgan is still at VWAP and not looking like it's participating in here. So you got relative weakness in some of the banks. We talked about the XLF. I'm going to finish this off with SoFi, but what's wrong? How do I have a VWAP that's extending past? Anyway, that doesn't matter. That's just weird on XLF. But XLF, this is back near the volume weighted average price. Don't know what's up with that. And another name which is not participating in this rally and is back underneath yesterday's lows would be SoFi at the $19 level. So as much exuberance and strength as we're seeing in the market, you are not seeing it in the financials right now, and it's not spread evenly among even the retail names. You saw some relative weakness in Walmart compared to some of the others, but yeah, banking stocks not doing too well. We're going to enjoy some...
Yeah, we're out of here. Pot pie. Beef pot pie.
Yeah, I'm air quoting that one.
You don't think it's going to be beef?
Well, our chili wasn't really chili. It was ground beef with beans.
Yeah.
It's not chili if there's no chili flavor. If you don't have any chili flavoring in it, there's nothing spicy about it whatsoever. Thank you, Danny Boy Regular Pants. Oh, that's right, you changed your name. Okay, so it was Yummy Pants was the name before, but then you've changed your name to Danny Boy Regular Pants. Aliens are going to see the bleached white flag on the moon and think we're weak for surrendering to cheese. We're going to need some Trump-class space battleships. Yeah, we need the space.
Yeah, I mean, we literally built that space, what was he, Department of Space? Or Space something? Space Force.
That's what it's called.
Steve Carell, that's a great one there on Netflix. Go have a look.
That's
I mean, it's
hilarious.
nothing
Steve
like
Carell.
The Office, of course. But all right, we'll see you guys soon. There you go, Sharif. We gave you another minute and a half over here. This guy's a spreadsheet.
You owe us, Sharif.
No, I think we still owe them probably more than 20 minutes, probably in the history. Take it easy over there, Joey. Options. This guy, Joey, you got lots of options, okay, over there. So yeah, he's ready to go. And congratulations. We already said that to Joe. Congratulations for some good trading here this morning. Can't wait for you to review it. All right, man. It's not O Canada. It is O Tariff time. As there goes the Qs. We'll talk to you guys on the midday show. Ciao for now.
Peace.
Joey Ops just pumped.